old man that used to open cards with his kids, and he just saw how his kid would light up every time he got Charizard. And so, as any dad would want to see his kid smile, he would actually then start buying more and more packs. And every time they pulled a Charizard, he would just keep it, hold it, make sure it stayed in great condition, this and that. When grading became more of a thing in like the early 2000s, he started sending them off to get graded, and like at the time PSA didn't want to like really deal with Pokemon, so they were just giving like 10s and 9s and all that, like good grades on them. And then when the pandemic hit, he was known as the guy with the most first edition Charizards in perfect 10 grading of anyone.
And those are worth like a house worth, right? Like
they were. Currently you can buy them for like 15-20 grand.
Yeah, because I remember, I'm not like a huge fan of Danny Duncan, but I remember that he like flexed his, at one of his things that I like glanced on, he's like, check out my Pokemon collection. He took it to a card store, and it's like, this Charizard is worth $500,000. And the dude that was great, like looking at it, was like shaking. He's like,
yeah. Yeah. So this guy had like 10 of them.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but they were all cards he pulled with his kids. And his kids still have like binders and binders of cards, but Charizard was his favorite as a kid. Obviously, it was a gimmick Pokemon, right? But because of that, everybody's
it's a
like,
gimmick Pokemon?
No, he was the gimmick Pokemon. Like, Pokemon Company pushes Charizard more than they push Pikachu.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
But yeah, Pikachu's the mascot.
Got it.
Yeah. But because of that, it's kind of funny. Like, this guy, everybody's like, dude, I'll sell you my house in exchange for one of the cards. I'll this and that. And he's in an interview where it's like, I once had to call the police because a guy offered me his daughter's virginity.
That's
for
wild.
a Charizard card. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. But the funny thing is, this guy is like just an overweight older guy, grayed out and everything, and he goes to card conventions and everybody's just like, this is the guy that literally graded all of his son's pulls.
What's his name again? Charizard King?
Yeah, Charizard King. Let's see. Let's see if we can find him.
It's just a bunch
right there, blue shirt in the middle. The king of Pokemon Pawn Star.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah.
He's just like an old dude.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. So he had like the only first edition Charizard to ever get a BGS 9.5, and then he refused to sell it for a really long time, and then Logan Paul finally like broke him down and got him to sell it to him. And he even told him, he's like, dude, I resent this to get graded 3 times, and it kept coming back at 9.5. Like, so if you're planning on buying this to try to go for the 10, it's not gonna happen. Logan Paul buys it, comes back at 10, and it's like, this is marketing. At the end of the day, this is marketing. Like, Logan Paul bought it. He's at the top of the hype right now. I've submitted it 3 times, and each time came back at 9.5, and suddenly it's a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started on this. We
do
should do a couple episodes. We should do the one we talked about first.
Mm-hmm.
And then we should do another technical one. What? What do you want to do? Like, when you finish a mix? No, there was a really good one that I wanted to steal, actually.
You thief.
Yeah, for real. There was actually a really good one that someone released recently that I was like, let's steal this and talk about it more. It was literally this last week, but I think we should definitely talk about
The first one.
that first one. I need to figure out who the quote is by too before we start recording, so I can like actually properly attribute it. Otherwise, I could just pretend like I came up with it and just steal the
credit.
steal the credit for the quote.
One day they call you out for it. There's this guy DK on a podcast.
Yeah, dude. That's kind of how it starts, right? Like, have you heard creativity is just the ability to hide your sources, hide your influence?
I haven't heard that, but I've always kind of like, so they say someone's personality is just an amalgamation of their inspiration. So in reality, we're never actually an original person. The only way to really be an original person is to have no reference of anything social. outside of that.
Well, I mean, like, well, it depends on how you define originality too. Because, like, I feel like if you have a unique combination and you're like authentic and you don't do anything because you think it, because anybody else
gimmick.
tells you it's cool, you know. Like, I think most people, I think almost everyone is unique. I think the most boring type of people are the ones where it's like, what movies do you like? Oh, you know, the pop ones, the pop cultural ones. Oh, what music do you like? Oh, you know, like I like everything.
Pulp Fiction and The Sopranos.
So
It's
like,
great.
I just don't think, like, if you don't have a taste and can't accept that you might be you enjoy weird stuff, then I don't think you're fun to be around as a human.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just also personal taste. Like, I don't think you're lesser. I just think that I just don't want to hang out with you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I cannot find. Oh, here we go. This one.
Oh, I actually watched that one yesterday.
We should something like this. I think that's like a very useful information, teaching people like practical ways of and we could talk about our stories and then also talk about how like realistically how to do it, like and the best ways to do it, things I wish I did. For example, when I was younger, I wish I saved more and then spent my profit at the end of the year rather than throughout the year on small things, you know, things like that. Okay. Lil Lou.
By any chance, do you have a lightning charger at all? Yeah, I can just leave it open over here.
Have you put it in rice or anything? Did you let it dry
I
out?
also heard that's not actually that effective, but I don't know. I've never tried it.
Well, did you leave it out and not charging for the entire night? Or did you try to keep it charged the entire night?
That's the thing. I didn't know until this morning.
Yeah, you should probably not charge it, actually. That might kill it.
Oh.
Usually iPhones have a preventative thing where it won't let you charge if it's wet. Yeah, you should. Well, yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Because I know.
I mean, even if it doesn't work, rice is better than nothing.
Yeah.
As long as it's like dehydrated rice.
Yeah. I might just like right after this go to the Apple store and be like, give me a new phone. I have Apple Care.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
It's like you're just gonna buy a phone.
It's like it.
No, I always pay for insurance on everything. I don't care what it is. It's like I bought the insurance on this. I think it was like $30-$40. It's like at some point my stupid ass is gonna whack it against the doorknob, and that's how it's gonna break. It's not gonna break because I fell or something. It's gonna be something really, really stupid.
I never buy insurance.
Yeah.
Unless I have to.
I've used it enough times to like. This is actually the second iPhone I have under the Apple Care.
Test. All right. Let's get into it. Is the Zelda music distracting?
Not to me. In fact, it's relaxing.
All right. Start recording. Oh, let me find the quote. Who did I steal this from? Oh, it didn't pull up. All right, well, I guess I'm the original person then. If it didn't pull up, whatever. I typed it in verbatim. All right, whatever. Here we go.
The most obscure verbatim quote to exist. Not even Google can find it.
Okay, let me go. Alrighty. Ah, shit. Okay, here he goes. Hello and welcome back to the Mixing Music Podcast. I'm your host. With me.
I'm your host. With me. I love it.
Hello and welcome back to the Mixing. Hello and welcome back to the Mix of Music Podcast. I'm your host DK, and with me, as always, is my lovely co-host. Let's get it louder, Lou.
Let's get it louder in here. Sorry, that's bad. I shouldn't sing.
No, what is that's? Hold on. It's getting hotter in here.
I know, but you said let's get it louder.
Okay, sweet. Anyway, let's get it louder in here, Lou. Let's get it louder.
In
Loudness. I think we did a loudness, loofs. Someone in the comments. I'm
Lil
saying
Lou.
Lil Lou.
It's because I'm a little baddie.
All right, this episode is I think it's like an important one, actually. I think it's something that we all have to think about. I think we're going to touch on like imposter syndrome. We're going to touch on working hard, how not to burn out. I think that's going to be one of the topics as well. But we're going to base it off a quote that I heard this week. I just typed it into Google verbatim, and it didn't bring it back any results because I've completely forgotten who said this. But I pulled it, and I wrote it down. I was like, we should talk about this on the pod. This is a topic that we touch on about like once a year or so. I think it's really important. And this is the quote. Hobbies are about the joy of it and less about the results. It's not an end to a means. The means is the fun part. So, if you've been listening to a pod for a long time, you've heard me talk about how it's not bad to do music as a hobby.
Yeah.
Especially if you're able to let go and kind of allow it to be fun. I do think that there's something to be said about like when you work hard, you have to be able to, when you try to make a career out of it, you have to do hard things. You have to be able to do hard things. You have to be able to eat shit, right? And if you know how we say, if you got to eat shit, don't nibble.
Just take a whole chunk of it and just do it in one bite. Just do it in one bite. It's tasty. It's tasty that way.
But anyway, this is really important because this is something that Lou and we talked about, and I think this is one of the most difficult things that every engineer, every music producer, someone that's been in the game long enough, this is all things that we think about and talk about at higher levels that people don't realize when they're young. When you're like early 20s and music is your life, you don't have any other hobbies. Like you just eat, sleep, music. And that's like really cool. But eventually, especially if you start making a living and like starting to pay rent with music, that's gonna not be sustainable. Like you need to eventually get into other things in order to find balance and in order to stay in love with music. Now, we've talked about things before, like Lou and I were very passionate about boundaries and how not like making sure that whenever you work on music, you're not hating yourself over it. Like that's the fastest way to get burnt out. Being honest with your dealings always, and, you know, standing up for yourself, you know, with boundaries. But the one thing that we all forget, and the point of this quote, the reason why I brought it up, is the value, the importance of staying passionate about music. Lou, it's funny, as much as we've wanted to quit our careers in different parts of our lives, especially in the early, you know, to mid-season. I think mid-season is like tougher, dude. Like, yeah. Like you're like 5, almost 10 years in, and you're like still getting frustrated, you know.
Yeah, like God damn it, what am I doing wrong?
I think that's the hardest part. But if like that's the thing too, it's like it's supposed to be fun, and that's why we got into it. Part of the reason why we all got into it, like we really truly enjoy music. Maybe for a lot of people, it's because music changed our lives, and we want to give that gift to everybody else. So let's start off with this, Lou. Like, for you, what are some ways that... Well, first off, right now, currently, at this moment, how do you feel towards music, and how has your feeling towards music shifted over the years?
It fluctuates, because there are times where, like, honestly speaking, like, I love it. It's one of those things where, like, so I posted recently about how Matt, Eric, and I went to go see Pierce the Veil live in San Diego. And the reason I really like going to shows of that nature for the groups like that is because the reason I really enjoy it is because I like hearing the performance. I like hearing the energy behind music. And it's something that really feels driving when you listen to the right groups, right? And I always think to myself, I'm like, I want to be there for those sessions. I want to be there when the drummer's really wailing and having a great time. Like, you can hear that in the recordings. That's really what kind of got me in and what keeps me in. Like, it's always the artist and the performance. It's never about, like, the flash of it all. It's just more like I would want to see this live, and I would want people to feel this way when they hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I'm like the opposite. First off, I love Pierce the Veil, but like, first off, I'm not really a live show guy.
Mhm.
I'm just as happy just listening to records.
Yeah.
Probably happier listening to records than having to go and find parking and pretend like I care about all the friends I go. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. It's like, fuck you, Matt.
No, Matt's actually really awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really interesting. How do you said it fluctuates?
It fluctuates because there's going to be times where it's not fun. There's going to be times, for instance, parking. Yes, that could be a thing, but that's not really music related. That's more event related.
And we're talking about like music as a consumer, like you're
Yeah.
as a listener. So it's like it's not that it's like obviously when it's work, sometimes it gets not fun. But you're saying
Yeah.
that even in a casual,
Yeah, even in a
leisurely
casual
setting.
sense, you might have enjoyed the same music for so long that you're like, I want something new, and you switch genres, and that's where you start finding the fun again, just trying something new. But that's kind of the cool thing. Like, you've seen me listen to like R&B and tell everybody like, who's your favorite artist? Anthony Hamilton. It always comes back to the emotion, because any genre can deliver an emotion. Any genre can deliver a certain energy. But I find myself like, when I first started like recording, it was all about rock for me. I never really saw myself in R&B hip hop as much. I did like it, but I wasn't really like in that scene. And then I ended up getting like a gold plaque in R&B, which is hilarious.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, the genre I didn't think I would get one in. But even nowadays, like, I find myself transitioning back to rock.
So your casual listening genres tend to be different from the genres you work on.
Significantly, yeah. Like, one day you'll hear me listening to ranchera music, and then banda, and then suddenly R&B, and then suddenly metal. It just depends on the day. Like, each one carries a different emotion and a different time of day for it. Like, if I'm going on a walk or if I'm at the gym, it's probably like Linkin Park, at the record Given Up, because it's just extreme high energy, and that's what I want in that moment. And then at other moments, it's like, I'm just working in the office, let's just listen to some lo-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I also,
Mm-hmm.
the music that I listen to and the music that I work on are very different. I think
Yeah.
that the music that I work on currently is the music that I used to listen to a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
but then it became work, and now I find joy from leisurely listening
Mm-hmm.
with other genres now. I think that for me, I don't think I've ever not loved music. Like, I don't, as from like a casual listening perspective, there's been times where I've been burned out by music, but that was mostly due to work. And then I
Yeah.
start listening to music casually, like trying to, like, oh, but like, let me get into it. And then I start showing people music that I like, and I'm like remembering, oh yeah, holy shit, I really like music.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because you also know that I kind of have this like anti-pop culture thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like music, but I don't give a shit who wrote it. I don't have any affinity towards the artist necessarily. It's, if you make good music, you make good music. And I
Have you
like
ever
it.
been called a fake fan for not knowing who the artist is?
Yeah, all the time, and I don't give
Yeah.
a shit.
Yeah, I'm the same
Yeah.
way, where it's like, I think I told you the story about Ari, about like how I didn't know who the hell she was until like I actually heard her voice. Yeah, because I saved all of her music. I had a bunch of it on my Tidal, but when they offered me to work with her, I was like, who is that?
Yeah. This is really weird. There's like an anime that I watched recently that in the first few episodes, she's like, you could have done anything, like to the prodigy. Like, she's
Mhm.
this magic wizard witch prodigy, and she's like, you could have done anything. Why did you pick magic? And she's like, I don't know. I forgot what she said, but it was something really beautiful and like something I really related to. Cause like, I feel like as a creative, I could have done anything.
Mhm.
Could have gotten into film, TV, writing. Definitely not writing. I suck at writing. But there's like a few other outlets, art, painting I could have
Mhm.
done, but music has always resonated with me the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that the more that I think I don't like music, it's like, I think I'm falling out of love with music. And then I start listening to music again. I'm like, oh, holy shit, actually, that never happened. I never fell out of love with
Yeah.
music. I think that's really important. Like, even with like a manager guy that I work with,
Mm-hmm.
he like, we had a conversation about how important it is to stay passionate about the art.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's like, the one thing, it's like, we all work in the music industry. He's like, but one of the reasons why we continue, like, our circle is this tight is because all of us are deeply passionate about music.
Yeah.
And I think that translates into the work that I do. Like, I think it's an actual practical thing that translates into the mixes that I work on. Like, you can really tell when I'm really into songs. And I think that's part of the reason why I have to listen to different genres so I can maintain my joy for pop music, which is what I work on.
Yeah.
If I listen to pop music all the time, I think I'd be like a little bit burnt out, and I still do because it's work. You know, I have to see what's popular, what's out there, and
Yeah.
but because I limit the amount of time I spend in there, like spend in the pop genre, I'm able to fully focus and put my heart into it when I'm working on it.
I've always considered myself a hermit to new music. I don't know if that makes sense, but the only time I ever get exposed to new music is either it's a group I really like and I saw some kind of marketing for it, but it's like somebody I really like, so that kind of fell on my lap anyways. But it's usually just people bringing up a song to me. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. Who is that?
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not the type to hit new arrivals because what is it? 60,000 uploads on Spotify a day. It's too much
I
to
think
keep.
it's more than that.
Yeah, so it's like it's too much music to keep track of at the end of the day. For one to be like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with all the new hit songs and this and that. It's like, listen, not every group makes the song you like. So I typically will enjoy the songs I have, save them on a list, put my list on shuffle, and it's like there's already like 4,000 songs on my title list. Like that thing can shuffle for weeks and not repeat.
Yeah. Yeah, we do the similar thing there. Like, anyway, let's go back to the point of this episode.
Yeah.
Is the reason why we bring this up, and the reason why this is highly talked about in the experienced full-time workers of this is because it is a struggle. It directly affects our work. Like the quality of the mixes that we put out, I think, do highly correlate with how much we currently love music.
Yeah.
I do think that it's something that every professional has to go through. They work really hard, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting burnt out," or "I feel like an imposter. I don't feel like I deserve to be here," something like that.
Yeah.
And then they start to question their entire motive. They're like, "Why am I doing this?" They forget that the music is a passion that they have. People don't think about this in like their early 20s or like when they're trying to get into music. It's just like I eat, sleep ramen and sleep 3 hours just so I can breathe music all day, every day. And it's like eventually, like that's not sustainable for 60 years, 50 years if you're trying to make a career out of it. And I think that it's okay to do that for a time, but I also think it's very important for everybody to realize like this passion that burns so brightly at times is relatively delicate, and you need to put in the effort to take care of it so it can sustain for 50 years.
Yeah.
Because there's also like including like, I don't want to say who, but an engineer that we know, their father is also an engineer, and like he like hates it. He doesn't want his son to be an engineer. He like washes windows now. And he's just like trying not to die. Like he's just like he totally regrets his life. And that's like a really sad point to be.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot to do with boundaries, you know?
Yeah.
Doing things you don't want to do for years at a time. Taking people's shit and not talking shit back.
Yeah.
Anyway, how are ways that you build resilience or protect your passion, Lou?
So let's put it from the context of like me as a working professional. I take honest step backs where I actually purposely just say no to work, just because I don't feel I'm in the right mindset for it. Not because it's a bad song, not because it's a bad artist, not because of anything relationship wise. I'll try to put as much on my board as I can that I think is feasible in a way that I'm not going to burn out or just regret taking the project. If I'm regretting taking your project, I promise you it's not going to be the same end result. There's something that me and my friend Gerald Keys had talked about in the past, and I know I brought it up in the past, where it's like, don't accept work for less than what you think it's worth. Aside from financial reasons that you're going to end up doing worse, just the way your mindset works, if you don't like the song, if you don't like the genre, or that's just something that you're not passionate about right now, you're probably not going to do a good job. Just pass it on to a friend. They're going to just say, hey, I'm a little bit busy right now, but let me introduce you to my friend. He can take care of you on this one. I'll be up with you on the next one. You know, sometimes literally just taking a step back will help you.
I want to be clear. There is a line between just being a little pussy ass bitch and like not willing to put in the hard work.
Yeah.
And like you're like, why am I not getting all this money? And I'm like, oh, I'm just
If
I'm
you're
just not
rejecting
willing
the
to work
work,
hard,
you can't.
You know?
Yeah, you can't make that claim.
And then there's also like, and then there's the line. The other side of that fence is, hey, like I'm not willing to do this because I don't like it or something like. Your command is not made by, like, you are not controlled by other people's money, and like telling that to yourself by being able to say no is like really fantastic. Obviously, sometimes you need to pay rent and you need to be resilient. Again, there's that line again. But
other times, if you know that you're not into it, you're gonna burn yourself with the client. That's where
you don't want to provide a
bad product just because you're like, well,
or experience.
Exactly. Let's say that I need to pay rent. Cool. But if you're not going to actually do the job the way it's intended to be done, just don't do it. Yeah. You know, and there's going to be pushy clients that want you to do it and they're going to ask a bunch of times. We get it. In my experience, it's still better to just say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Like, as much as I like to call people a little pussy ass bitch and like give them a hard time, say you have to work really hard. If you got to eat shit, don't nibble. As much as I say that, it's like I also really, really believe that like self-help therapy is really important.
Yeah.
Like whatever it takes to take care of yourself, because as creatives, our minds are just whirlwinds of just chaos.
Yeah.
It's just chaotic up here. And it's very emotional. We're very like, you know, touch and go, kind of like what's going on, what's hot topic in our minds right now. Like our emotions change and they swing, and it's really important to take care of yourself, get your mind right. And there's some practical things, like if exercise works for you, which it works for a lot of men, if that works for you, keep doing that. If reading is what keeps you grounded, if listening to classical music, nerd, no, just kidding. That's mean.
Nerd.
That's mean. That's actually mean. If that's what keeps you grounded, you know, whatever, if movies is your thing, but there is, I can't quite articulate what, but it's just really important to make sure that you are grounded at all times in some way or another. I think for a lot of people, actually for creatives especially, this is something that I read in a book about psychology. It's like people that are high in creativeness also are typically found to be more happy or satisfied with their own life when they have long-term stable relationships. Yeah. So if you are creative and you get married young, or you have like a really loving relationship in some way or another, that for a chaotic creative, most chaotic creatives want to be able to roam, be free, whatever, but also have a place and a fireplace to come back home to.
Yeah. It's essentially your flagpole. It's where, you know, what is it? The Northern Star, better yet said. That's your Northern Star. When you actually, that's why I always tell people, like, I know marriage is not necessarily like a popular thing as much as it used to be. I still never saw the issue with it, personally. If I had a North Star at home all the time, what more could you ask for? If your life is constantly chaotic, constantly changing, it's never the same day, having a constant in your life is one of the most therapeutic things you could ever ask for. So if you got somebody out there, you got therapy for you.
Yeah. It's
now they are not a licensed therapist, most likely, so if you need a therapist, go see a therapist.
Yeah. Which I don't know if you have, but like I always openly say, like, I've been having a weekly therapist for years. I think it's like really awesome. This is a personal observation. I'm generalizing here. Do I want to say this? I think I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. Let me think about this for a moment here. Sure. Maybe you can comment on this. You know, back me up or call me out.
Bitch.
The higher up we go, the bigger producers, the bigger engineers, the people that are working hard, the ones that are performing the best, they're not less anxious. They're not less nervous. They're not less depressed. Yeah. They are probably even more so of all of that. But they have very high pain tolerances. For example,
Mhm.
like there's not a lot of obese people in the upper echelons of the music industry.
I would say that they know how to take it in one bite.
Yeah, like they're all like almost everybody is working out in one
Yeah.
way or another. They're exercising. That's like the most common way of coping.
Yeah.
They're all athletes. They're all pretty competitive in,
Mhm.
in various different ways. They're all, yeah. So it's like I think it's really interesting that like whatever coping mechanisms work for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, exercise is a really healthy, good one that works. Like it's also works. Like we're not
Yeah.
saying the point is not to get thin or to look sexy. The point is to cope with your mind and to stay in love with music so you can
Yeah.
continue to make better art. Because here's the thing, if your mind gets overloaded and you get burnt out, what you're doing is you're not just quitting music for a time. You're forcing other people the ability to stop, like you're keeping other people, your fans, from healing through your work.
Yeah.
So it's not like, quite frankly, or if it's not healing, then entertainment, right?
Mhm.
At the very least. If you cannot be sustainable, the good work that you're doing, the people who need you, that healing is also not sustainable. So you need to figure out a way to stay balanced and do this for years if that's what you want to do. Do this for years rather than work really hard for 5 years and then question your entire life. Like, I think that's really important. You're not just sacrificing yourself, you're sacrificing your fans, especially if you've got a big fan base, or even if you have a small one. Even
Yeah.
if you have 5 listeners and one of them believes that your music changed their lives.
Yeah.
Is that worth, like now all of a sudden your problems just seem so minuscule. Another couple things that I'm thinking about right now too is like this week, this is, again, like if you couldn't tell, I'm deep into psychology. 2 things that's really interesting. There was studies done. I need to find the source for this. But there was studies done where like different athletes did like cold water ice baths, and whoever can stay in longer, there's like doctors that were waiting to make sure people don't get hypothermic and stuff. But athletes and endurance runners specifically, their pain tolerances were the highest. They were able to stay in the water the longest. And so it's like the more difficult things you're able to do, including doing like long distance running, for example, that's really difficult. It's kind of dumb. You're literally building your pain tolerance. So the difficulties of doing the work all of a sudden feel a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
The second thing that I'm thinking about as well is I don't necessarily care how people feel about Jordan Peterson's politics. I don't like politics. I stay away from politics. But as a psychologist, he said something really interesting in a recent fantastic interview with Chris Williamson from Modern Wisdom. He talked about how the fastest way to become sad, to be burnt out, to be unhappy, is to focus on yourself.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So it's like if you're like, the world is against me, everything is all about me. My time sucks. Everybody's like really trying to keep me down. Like my life is very hard. That's like from a studies-backed perspective,
Yeah.
the fastest way to be unhappy. And the more that you focus on other people outside of yourself is one of the few ways that that psychology teaches us that humans can actually find their ability to be satisfied, to be as close to whatever happy means to that person. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Like, it makes sense because have you ever, okay, I know everybody's done this. You basically sit there, you're sad, you're getting really introspective, and now you're just poking and prying at yourself the entire time. You start saying, well, now I need to do more of this for myself. Now I need to do more of that. And now you're still so focused on it that you're starting to say, well, this doesn't really fix this. This doesn't really fix that. And it's kind of like, I hate to use this analogy, but using a low pass filter and then finding the other resonant tones in the audio. You got rid of some of the problems, but it didn't take away the whole spectrum of issues. And most people can't really work on themselves on that level because we just don't know what to do. We don't know what's actually going to help us at the end of the day. But if you were to actually get a hobby, something that you actually are passionate about, something that you love, you start growing in that, you start finding success in that, and you start feeling better about your stuff, you start noticing you're a little bit happier. Now, that doesn't make your issues go away. That doesn't make you make more money or anything, but it does actually bring joy in your life. And that sadness starts to kind of dwindle and seem a little bit more manageable.
Yeah.
Then once again, we start saying, well, I'm not as good as the next engineer. I'm not as good as the next musician. I'm not as good as the next artist. And it starts becoming something more serious
That's very
than
unhealthy.
fun.
Yeah.
And then you start going into that cycle of, well, now I'm focusing too much on my end result versus just having fun with it.
Yeah.
I think with Jordan Peterson, he does, not everybody loves his politics and everything, but I think even in that sense, like if you were to focus on other things outside of yourself, then I'm sure whatever successes he gets makes him feel better about himself, you know? So who knows? I've never really looked at that study or anything. This is the first time I'm hearing about it, but it makes sense in my head.
Yeah. So the idea again is like, don't get other people to sacrifice for your happiness. Like that's not how it
Yeah.
comes. You have to sacrifice. Anyway, the point also, the reason why I bring this up is part of that too, is I think people need to figure out like their real motive. Every time I get really unhappy, it's because for some reason something happens and I start to feel selfish for doing music. Like, oh, I'm just the type of guy that chases what I want to do and I don't care about anybody else. But then I remember like music really helped me, and I try to, quite frankly, sometimes on purpose and unnaturally, I try to force myself to realize that like, oh my gosh, no, music changed my life. It was very therapeutic for me many, many times in my life. And I want to give that gift to other people. Like my job is to create the gift of joy, of entertainment, of not therapy, but like I want to create moments of therapy where they can, you know, whether if it's a sad song that like really lets someone cry, lets someone really relate to it and feel that, makes them feel like not alone. You know, those, once I remember those things, then it becomes a lot easier to do, and I start enjoying my work a lot more too. Like tour can be really hard, but then if you think about it, you're like, you're allowing potentially hundreds of people or thousands of people at a time every single night. Really, whether if it's like fun music, then you're letting them have fun, you're letting them release. If you're you know, do ballads, you're letting them feel love, you know, whatever it is. But you're letting them emote. And when you remember that it's not about you, but you're doing this because who else is going to do it better than you? Who else is going to help them more than you in that moment? I just think it's really beautiful, and I think that's something that we all need to remember is what was that greater purpose? If you don't have a greater purpose, then it's something that I think you should decide and pick up on. I think that that's like really important to think about. Lou, did you ever have like a greater purpose or think about that in your career?
Mine was always more on the side of like, I want to capture the emotion of the record. I guess it kind of relates to kind of like how you were talking about, where it's like, who better to help them deliver this emotion, right? I've always listened to a lot of records that like really motivated me, and the motivation in different ways, where it's like Anthony Hamilton was great for like sad and love. Linkin Park was always fun for like high energy and suicide. No, I'm just kidding.
What the?
Hey, let's just be honest. All of his songs were always the saddest songs ever. It's like, I'm crawling in my skin, you know. But
I didn't really listen to much Linkin Park. I'm now realizing that's true.
Yeah, all of his songs were pretty sad. So like when people are like, I can't believe it, I'm like, I can. I'm sorry to say it. I love Linkin Park. I wish that never happened, but
it's
it was in the lyrics.
Expression.
Yeah,
that's crazy because like you're listening to lyrics and you relate to that, and you're kind of expressing by relating to them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's like it's important.
So whenever I listen to metal, they're probably singing about some politics, or their heart got broken and they're just screaming the whole time. I don't know. It's never like, I'm so fucking happy. Yes, I just got a new toy. It's never that. That's not metal. That's clearly not metal. But like that sense of energy behind it, like the way the drums are hitting and all that kind of stuff. Like I've always loved listening to like high energy or like really, really well executed performances. And that's what I'm after. I'm not after like the coolest song ever. I don't give a shit if it's cool. Because even if it was cool, this is why like I personally, I know nobody's going to give me slack over this. And if you do, fuck you. I don't like Drake. I don't like Drake. It's not anything against him or his lyrics or anything. It's not my vibe. But Anderson .Paak and Masego and all that kind of stuff, I like it. There's like a vibe to it. There's like a bounce to it, and like it's got an attitude, and it's like I love it. The reason I love Ari Lennox so much is because like she's got this voice, and the way she uses it is so good. And I remember being in studio. I never knew who Elite, her main producer, I never knew who he was. And I remember sitting there at Dreamville and being like, dude, she's so amazing. Like, this is so good. Like, I'd love to work with her more often. He's like, yeah, no, she's good. I'm like, dude, like, this is the kind of music I want to work on. And I had no clue. I was talking to him while she was in the booth. And that's the guy that produced all of her biggest records. But the whole time, I remember it like it was yesterday, like literally just telling him, like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
You know, and that's always been my personal inspiration. I don't care about the lyric. I don't care about the genre. Give me the performance. Give me the artist. Give me the one that inspires. Everything else is just uninspiring and not really something I care about.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like if anybody does give you some shit for not liking Drake.
I just
think that that's like really immature. Like giving anybody shit for not liking something that you like is just like, wow.
Yeah, because it's almost like saying like, if music is art, then fuck you if you don't like the next painter, because that's art too.
It's making me realize how often I do that unintentionally. Because like in this,
it's like, what do you mean you don't like Wolfpack?
Yeah, it's hold on. No, I'm thinking about like other things in life outside of music. But I think that's really,
you don't like running, really?
Yeah, that's what it is. You don't like not knowing when you're gonna shit your pants. That's what running is. Did I send you that meme?
Yeah.
It's like, why do you like running?
Why do you run?
I love being 8 miles into a trail run, knowing there's no bathrooms nearby.
And I might shit my pants.
Why don't you run with toilet paper? The danger. It's the danger of not knowing.
That's not what I'm doing this for.
I'm not doing it for the safety net.
But, you know, it's like the thing that I always talk to people about and I get very passionate about is passion. I could give a shit about everything else. I could give a shit about what mic you used. Motorhead, who was one of the most successful like thrash metal bands out there, if you want to categorize them as thrash, always used the 57 for vocals. Michael Jackson's biggest hits, like Thriller and all them, were on an SM7. Mm-hmm. I could give a
Many
shit.
Of them,
yeah, like I could give a shit if you have a Tube Tech. I could give a shit if you have a 1073, because guess what? The majority of records that I listen to were not recorded by those things, and I've never, to the day I die, I will never be able to tell you what something was recorded on if I did not previously look it up or somebody had told me.
I like Tube Tech because it's blue.
No. Is it because it's a sad color?
No, I just like blue hues. I like cool hues.
I have a Tube Tech in my office for the last, 2 months, and I've used it once.
You know, it's funny. Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
once. Was it good?
You know how many times I've used the Distressor? Like fucking 30 times.
You know, talking about this is unrelated. I bought the UAD Tube Tech this weekend. Mm-hmm. It's a really good plugin, but it doesn't sound anywhere near
the Tube Tech.
Like, not even close. Like, it's way too distorted. The attack and release feels really different too. Like, it's not even close to the real thing.
It pumps significantly sooner.
Like it's so pumpy, in fact, that I wonder if I need to re-download the plugin because I thought it was a glitch. I was like, there's no way that they could have made this plugin to be this it's like this unsmooth.
I have it, and it's basically a recreation of, or at least the first one is, I know, Softtube.
I got the Mark II. I got the UAD. I got both of them. So if you buy the Mark II, then it comes
UAD?
with the... Yeah. Well, they have UAD and Softtube. So Softtube is native, UAD is...
Okay, yeah. I have the Softtube one, the MK1, and then I had bought later the MK2. I did not know that either way, I had already had the MK1.
Dude, I was like really disappointed, but then I tried it on bass, and it kind of does this like weird thing that the regular CL1B doesn't do. It like brings out the mid-range a bit and like distorts in a really cool way in like in a finger pluck bass.
So for that's
like super. It's super useful. But as far as like fidelity of like how it is,
so I invite you to try it on a fat snare.
I bet it would sound great.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound good on vocals, dude.
No.
Whoa, the plugin does not sound.
The Distressor sounds better.
Holy cow, dude!
The plugin
it does not. The plugin, dude. Plugin is shit. Holy cow! I'm like impressed with how bad the plugin was.
Yeah, and see, that's why like.
But I did. You know what else I got? Again, unrelated. We could do an entire episode about this. I finally got the Acoustica El Rey.
Really? Just now?
Yeah.
I thought you had it this whole time.
No.
Dude, I love it. Use it for nasally vocals. It removes nasaliness.
Yeah, dude. It's
and it sounds good
amazing.
on the master bus.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Holy cow. No, I've been using it a
Yeah.
lot this week. I also got like the 175B, 176 for UAD. And then
Yeah.
a couple other things. And then I did like a 7 or 8 plug-in compressor vocal shootout.
Oh,
on a
this is like
female
Black
vocalist.
Friday or just this weekend?
That was just last week. Me and James. James was here from the exclusive episodes of the podcast. Go to mixingmusicpodcast.com/exclusive for 3 times the amount of episode every single week. Or 2 or 3 times the amount of episodes every single week. And James was over here, and we were doing shot out like 7 different compressors of all sort of types. We did the analog. We did the 175, 176, the CL1B, the Fairchild, the Magic Death Eye.
I still have yet to try that one.
The Rev A 1176 from UAD, and a few others.
Rev A is Blue Stripe?
Yeah. And then we dude the El Rey.
Mm-hmm.
At least for this specific vocal, we're not talking about just the saturation and like how it brings out the lows,
Just
and
the
it scoops
smoothness.
scoops the upper mids a little bit.
Yep.
We're not even talking about that. How it makes it sparkly up top like a classic tube, but in a really beautiful way. We're not talking about that. The compression itself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It
It
was
reminds
like-
me of my old, you remember the Retro Instruments, the double wide?
Yeah.
It reminds me of the double wide, and that's why I like it so much.
It was really smooth, and I mean it's just one time that like it happened to work on that female vocal, but it works so well that I probably use like a third of the amount of plugins that I usually do for vocals, because I usually go pretty ham on my vocals. Like
Yeah.
I usually pretty easy on everything else except for the vocals.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it sounded so good that I barely touched it with anything else.
Yeah.
It was like really weird. I've never experienced that. Anyway, we're talking about keeping love in music, and I think that's
But-
part of it too.
Yeah, on like we've talked about like you don't need to buy gear to do well, but if you want gear, you go ahead and buy it. And I've always like subscribed to the idea that anytime I get new gear, I'm just more inspired to work, just because I like new things, and my dumbass just doesn't have self-control some days.
I think that's like a really normal practical thing to do. I will say
Yeah.
that that's like a slippery slope and fairly unsustainable too.
If you don't have self-control, yes, absolutely.
Because like the more like, because novelty is something, the dopamine hit from novelty is something that wears off over time. So if you keep buying new things, then like
It wears
you're gonna
off
find
quick.
that like you're gonna find that you're gonna have to buy more and more and more
Yep.
and more and more and more to feel that same amount of dopamine hit.
Yeah.
So like it's every once in a while it's cool, but I do think that that's a slippery slope that can easily
is.
lead to being
Poverty.
Yeah, not poverty, but like being fiscally irresponsible.
Which leads to poverty.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No.
It's crazy.
Like I make a joke of it because like you've seen all the gear that I have, and how little I use the majority of it. But it's one of those things where like trying out new things and finding new ways to use it is kind of the inspiring thing for most people that really enjoy engineering.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times it's not that like, dude, you know what's the most inspiring thing I did today? 10 decibels of reduction with no audible distortion. No, it's not that.
Yeah.
No, we made a really cool sounding record.
Yeah.
And usually the really cool part about it is like the delivery of emotion.
Yeah. We're I mean, going back to what you were talking about just a moment
Mhm.
ago with like the new things, you know what can feel just as exciting but with zero the cost? If you really like this synth, but instead of buying that synth, you take the time to figure out how you can copy that sound with something else.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then
Yeah.
you can get the same amount of like novelty and joy out of it,
Mm-hmm.
but like maybe even more so because you had to work to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's something that you can be proud of. Like, oh, you might even make a YouTube video. It's like, look how I got this synth
Mhm.
out of this synth that you probably already have.
So
You know what I'm saying?
somebody
So it's
did
like-
that
it's-
recently for TalkBox, but using autotune at max setting, and then like I forget what plugin he was using that. Essentially, you know how there's like a glide function on synths.
Mm-hmm.
They were using like a transient shaper, not designer, but shaper, to smooth the entry of transients, but they put
Oh.
it on the vocal.
Oh,
Yeah, so instead of just going like it kind of like has this like
Slow
you still
attack?
hear that hard change, so it sounds like the notation change on a piano versus just a hard edged change of note in auto-tune. And so like when I heard it, I was like, it doesn't exactly sound like TalkBox, but it does the TalkBox thing. I'm sure with a little use of like Futzbox and a couple other things, maybe you could like finesse the sound of the TalkBox, but it has a similar attack style to a TalkBox. And I was like, I might do this.
Yeah.
I might do this because I don't want to buy another keyboard just to do TalkBox.
Yeah. That's super interesting. But the point is, like, you can find curiosity can also lead to that
new miking
long-term
techniques.
passion.
Use the same mics you have, new miking techniques.
Yeah.
One of my favorite room mic styles is go to the left and right of your drum, take a large diaphragm condenser or something that can just accept a nice wide spectrum without being too harsh on the top. Point it at the floor at a 45-degree angle towards the drum set and use those as left and right room mics. And what you're really doing is just picking up the boominess of the floor along with like indirect reflections.
Did you read this book?
No, what book is that?
Indistractable?
Oh, I just finished it 2 days ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Remember the chapter, it's like an early chapter here. I think it's really awesome. So this book is called Indistractable by an author, I'm going to mispronounce this, Nir Eyal, E-Y-A-L.
Oh, by the way, the last chapter is very romantic.
Interesting.
Just a heads up. You might want
like
to
erotic?
It starts off a little like, I was like, what am I listening to?
Okay, weird. All right,
Yeah.
well, we'll get there. Anyway, this book is called Indistractable, How to Control Your Attention and Choose Your Life. There's an entire chapter about how to seek that novelty, like that dopamine from the novelty, by
Changing
gamifying it.
Yeah.
Like gamifying the work that you want to do. For example, I'm trying to find it right now.
Essentially what's going on is he used the example of like everybody's grandmother tells them, oh, if sweeping's not fun, add a challenge to it or switch up the way you do it. Like if you don't like mopping and you're on a tile floor, you could mop one tile at a time and try to make a design out of it. Like try to draw something as you mop.
I mean, there's a reason why mopping or vacuuming the floor in real life is not fun, but then you have to do it in Animal Crossing and pick out the weeds. It's like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it's not about what you do.
It's how you do.
Yeah, it's about like the constraints.
Yeah.
It's about like, so it's like you have to do. So this is when
That's why I like recording more than mixing some days, just because like there's a million ways to do it. But if you record vocals every day and it's for like pop records, there's kind of like a standard that you do and you're just doing this repetitive task all day long. But if you're recording with like bands and everything, it's like there's a million different ways to record drums. There's a million different ways to record guitars. There's a million different ways to record the bass player jumping off the couch. But it's one of those things like if you can find yourself, if you constantly find yourself complaining about, oh, it's become mundane, switch it up.
Yeah, actually, can I read some quotes from the book? Sorry, I was looking for it while you were talking. Here's a few quotes from this book I think is really important. And this is why I think Dave Pensato still mixes music and enjoys it too, because he has a lot of fun from all the plugins that he gets to test. Like he's changing the way that he mixes like every single
almost
time.
Every song.
He's very open about learning from his assistants and using young ears and stuff. Anyway, so we'll talk about that and how we do that and how we can find novelty and be creative during the process all the time. But here's a few quotes. Hopefully these make sense here. Fun and play don't have to make us feel good, per se. Rather, they can be used as tools to keep us focused. Fun is not a feeling so much as an exhaust produced when an operator can treat something with dignity. That's interesting. Let me read that again. Fun is not a feeling so much as an exhaust produced when an operator can treat something with dignity. When we properly put in the time, like I love mixing more when I have the lack of stress, the time, the ability to experiment and see, like that's fun. Yeah. Like as much I hate rushing through mixes. I'm really good at it, unfortunately, but I hate rushing through mixes at the end of the day. It makes it monotonous. There's in the study there's studies that are by a scientist named Bogost or something, some guy named Bogost, and here's a couple quotes from him. Fun is the aftermath of deliberately manipulating a familiar situation in a new way. I do that all the time. Like we had an episode about how during different eras of our career, we focus on different things. Like you talked about how one time you're like, I really focus on like the lower mids of a vocal. And I was like, last time I was like, I used to focus on this. Now I'm like really focused on like dynamic range. Yeah. Or like blending in the vocals or like there's like different aspects of the mix that we're focused on that we're trying to
Yeah.
improve during different times of our career or our learning
Yeah.
process, right?
Our stage.
And that makes it fun. Like if I wasn't thinking about how to improve, that wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
Here's another. I'm just going to finish up with a couple more here.
Cool.
Operating under constraints is the key to creativity and fun.
It sounds backwards, but it's true.
Again, like if you
Yeah.
if you have a synth, that synth example fits that perfectly.
Yeah.
Instead of buying the synth and doing the easy thing,
Yeah.
using money you don't have, you shouldn't use.
Yeah.
Maybe you do have it, but if you know you shouldn't use it,
Yeah.
then it could be just as fun to
Like pay your rent.
have under the be under the constraints that you have to make it out of what you have. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't prepare these quotes, so this might be like a miss. But
No
I'm
highlighter?
highlighting. I'm reading the ones that I highlighted, so it's like I haven't qualified these. Consider my local coffee-obsessed barista who spends a ridiculous amount of time refining the perfect brew, the car buff who toils for countless hours fine-tuning his ride, or the crafter who produces sweaters and quilts in the name of fun. If people can have fun doing these activities by choice, what's so crazy about bringing the same kind of mindset to other tasks?
Yeah.
The cure for boredom is curiosity. There is no cure for curiosity. I love that quote.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: do you think building wood frames are fun?
Not inherently.
Okay. So it's boring as shit. I'm just gonna let you know. But the reason I end up like, whenever I get really into something, I end up like wanting to do more. I bought a router table because I wanted to try different ways of merging corners and which one would actually be the cleanest corner merging style and all that kind of stuff. So different router bits, locking bits.
Like, how can you make it cleaner and smoother? How can you make
Yeah.
it more professional looking?
Yeah, and every time I do it, I'm like, fuck yeah, this one came out amazing. All right, time to try something else now. And it's like, it's not that like, wait, but you could build it 10 times the same way now. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not, as much as I make a pretty significant amount of money designing and treating studios. But I've always seen it as like the thing I do on the side, surprisingly have beat out some pretty known names on projects. But the only reason that I always see it as something on the side is because like, I don't want to be building wood frames all day. That's not fun. But I like the creativity behind it. I like the idea of like, okay, you know what? I'm going to start using brad nailers and this style of wood glue. And we're going to see like how strong can we make it. And remember when the cloud crashed from my ceiling? Most people's clouds would just crumble. That thing only took one corner crack and that was it.
Yeah.
And I was just impressed by, I'm like, dude, I built the living shit out of that. That
There's
thing,
like pride that you feel.
Yeah,
you
there
like,
was-
want to do better.
yeah, I'm like, whoever wants this can have this cloud now. I'll just build another one. And it's
Yeah.
like, really? You want to go through that process again? And it's like, I don't think you understand. Like, for me, it's a fun thing.
I mean, it took us 50 minutes to properly articulate it,
Yeah.
but to kind of sum it up, the most important part about doing what we want to do for long term, whether it stays a hobby or if it eventually becomes a career. And again, the point of this podcast is to help people learn engineering from a practical perspective, trying to turn it into a career.
Yeah.
If you want to turn it into a career, it is very, very important to make sure you stay in love with music. Some of those things are things like using boundaries, never making it something that you hate to do.
Yeah.
Like that you don't want to allow people to run over you, especially for decades.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that it's a lot easier to be the yes man that says yes to everything, and then you hate your client. So if you ever hear an engineer or producer says, "I don't like any of my clients," that is their fault. They could have said no. They could have said no. They could have been like, "Hey, no, not unless you follow my rules." Or they
Yeah.
could have marketed more towards clients that they do like.
Yep.
And there's different things. And I would say that it's better to think that it's their fault, it's your fault, and it's your control. Don't raise children you don't like.
What is it? If you're looking to enjoy yourself, find people that you enjoy working with. If you're looking to work for someone, you have to find what it is they're looking for.
And to find the people that you enjoy working with, you have to be brave and courageous to be willing to get your heart ripped out.
Yeah.
You have to find out. So it's like there's a balance there. Like, don't be
Fucking
be
around is a good thing.
adventurous. Yeah, hold on.
I'm saying because you might find out. You might find out.
Okay. We're not encouraging being as slow. Okay, but
What were you thinking?
yeah,
good
okay,
sir?
never mind. But the point is, like, yeah, especially when you're young, and if you have that energy, do as much as you can, do all the different things that you can, and then kind of experiment, figure out what goes out. Like, don't niche too early. Like, let the
Yeah.
niche come to you. I think that's really important. We talked about that. We talked about remembering a higher purpose, like practically. And if not, like creating a higher purpose, the importance of doing things as a service for others and trying to keep that mentality more than making it about me, give me attention.
Yeah.
Why am I not getting the streams? Why am I not getting paid enough? Me.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way, to stay passionate about it. We talked about, in general, the reason why this episode is so near and dear to us, and it's important to us, this topic, is because this directly, I think, correlates with the creativity and the work that we do. I think that if you are unhappy and you're miserable, it can directly affect how your mixes sound, how your production sound, how your songwriting sounds. I mean, especially as songwriters, when you're writing the lyrics and doing the chord progression and stuff, and if you're the performer, the singer, like, it's really obvious when you're fucking fake. It's really obvious.
Like, you can hear it.
You can hear it, and nobody likes that shit. The number one sound of beginner songwriters, beginner artists, is like, you just sound like you're just trying to be cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's really weak. No, we also talked about gamifying the process, staying curious. I think that was the last thing we talked about, and how you can continue to find novelty in the monotonous work of what you do, because you have to do this for decades in order to do well. Continue to find novelty and joy from the work that we do through gamifying the experience and being curious. And I think that this is really important. We even talked about how El Rey sounds dope.
Yep.
Acoustic. And I mean, I think that was like a really good, like, that conversation that we had is a great insight about even us who use compressors every single day, who work on songs every single day.
We can still find something new. That's awesome.
And I think people could hear through our conversation that's like, oh, we really like this. Like, it's really enjoyable.
Acoustica, sponsor us, please.
Yeah.
You're too expensive for my wallet.
Apparently there's some drama right now, but we won't even talk about it.
No.
But
don't take my El Rey away.
Anyway, turns out that I think here's the drama. Turns out that the anti-piracy, just briefly, you can look this up, but all of the anti-piracy encoding that they're putting into their software is bloating their software to be tons more memory. It takes up tons more memory than it would without any of it, like significantly more, to the point where the plugins perform better when it's pirated. The anti-piracy encryption is causing the plugins to perform worse and go.
Is that why
slow
they're
down the
so
computer mode.
damn heavy?
Yeah, they're bloating. They're bloating the plugins too much. So it's like,
it's a good thing I
so
only
the
really
drama
use
is, why
like
are you
2 of their
punishing-
plugins.
Yeah. So the drama is, why are you punishing the people who are actually paying for the plugin?
Yeah.
So it's like, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That's
so
a different conversation.
it's kind of funny because I've always seen it this way. There's I've always had an issue with crack plugins, except for Waves. Fuck Waves.
Shush.
Okay, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying, like, but
I wouldn't slap you for. He wouldn't slap.
I wouldn't
you.
slap you for it. Yeah.
it's like-
But I mean, it's an inevitable. You know what I mean? Like, somebody's gonna crack the code. Somebody eventually is gonna crack the code. I don't think there's a single plugin that hasn't been cracked outside of UAD stuff, because it's relying on the DSP, and I think that's kind of a big thing. At least I've never seen a cracked version of it, but now that they're native, I'm sure somebody's gonna crack it. That it's an inevitable, but there's gonna be a majority of people who still pay for it. You know, this market isn't huge, and usually people who are just cracking it, I'll be honest, they weren't going to buy anything. You're not the only software they're cracking. So all you're doing is removing a bad client, if anything.
No, potentially. That's a whole nother topic we can get into.
Yeah.
But anyway, El Rey sounds dope, and I bought it.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
On that
Acoustica,
note,
for
I
that.
think we also have another sponsor for a plugin that we need to talk about in one of these episodes. I'm waiting for a reply for an email to give the green light.
Nice.
But we have a 50% off code for this company.
Whoa.
Yeah, 50% off. That's wild, huh?
Yeah,
That's
Black
incredible.
Friday after Black Friday.
That's right. On that note, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, go check out the mixingmusicpodcast.com. Mixingmusicpodcast.com, there's our sponsors, so you can get discounts to different gear. We are sponsored by Sweetwater. We have affiliate deals with Amazon, obviously. We also are sponsored by Antares, Loughton, and a bunch of other Plugin Boutique, a bunch of other plugins where we can either give you discounts or we take a little bit of kickback from. So go check out the podcast, mixingmusicpodcast.com. We also have exclusive episodes where we talk specifically about practical engineering skills and techniques, and we break them down and we talk about the nuance of them. And that is 2 episodes every single week. And you go to mixingmusicpodcast.com/exclusive to gain access to that. And it is $4 a month or $40 a year. We have a bunch of listeners, and it's always a fun to hear the feedback from everybody and kind of get suggestions, and we answer people's questions on that platform. And again, that's like you get at least twice as many episodes every single week. So go check that out. On top of that, if you would like to rate us 5 stars on Apple or Spotify, Amazon, wherever you're listening on, it's the freest way to help us immensely and help us grow the podcast and for us to help other people as well. It's really interesting. If I wanted to, we're not teachers. We're actual mixers. In your case, you do a lot more than just mixing too. We are not teachers. I don't make money from selling courses necessarily. So it's like, this is just fun. And we really do this because we really love helping people. And we have really big hero complexes. No, I'm just kidding. But like, we really truly do enjoy helping people balance their lives, to find balance, to be able to pursue their passions in a way that is healthy, and in a way that is uplifting to other people, to themselves, and in a sustainable manner. Like, we're really passionate about that. So on that note, if you want us to help do that for other people, rate us 5 stars. It really means a lot. And on that note, happy mixing, my friends, and stay saucy.
Boom. What's up, Nine Feather and Yusufina?
I need to pull the audio from the recording.
Josh Dabbington. I like that name. Josh Dabbington. Have you had a fine dab this morning?
Hold on 1 second.
Fuck Drake.
Someone said that?
No.
That's fun.
It's because every time I say it out in social settings, everybody's like, "You don't like Drake?"
Dude, I don't.
I've never really found any of his music that good.
I really used to like Drake.
No.
I used to like Drake a lot, but like, I don't even think. It's really interesting. I don't even put in the emotional effort to hate him.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even worth my time to dislike him.
Yeah, for me it's more like anytime he comes on, there's like, it's not cringe, but it's like,
I hate to say it, but it's complete indifference. It's like, it would be almost better for him if I hated him.
Because then he'd get a little more intention.
It's complete indifference. I genuinely don't care.
For me, it's like anytime I hear it, I'm like, I don't want to hear this.
Really, really, like, it was like, that was like it. That was the final straw. That album with 21.
Oh,
really did
21. Tell him something. 21. And then he's just ad-libbing it throughout the entire thing. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, I tried, like, there's one song I do like on the new album. And I don't like it because of Drake. I like it because of J. Cole. J. Cole just he didn't rip him a new one specifically in the song, but like J. Cole did it so well that I'm like, this is J. Cole's song and Drake's the feature.
Yeah, and also like you can't help but I can't deny the fact that like Drake has helped so many other artists.
No, he has.
It's like well, I mean, that's kind of how like it should be, right? Like even with like
you use your platform.
P. Diddy is like one of the biggest like philanthropists.
Yeah.
You know? Like you got to eventually, like you get so much success, you got to spread that wealth around. Like, so it's like,
well,
anyway,
it's the only way to keep it around too.
Maybe not. He's not like, I don't know if he's a philanthropist.
He's an investor.
Like he invests and helps people. He's like actively said, I try to get people out of the hood.
Yeah.
That's super awesome. Like
Yeah.
eventually, so it's like I feel like that's what Drake is doing now. But as far as like as an artist, it's mid. And it's very non-creative. His music is for the people that don't really like music.
Yeah. For me, I've always like, anytime somebody's like, oh, I want it to sound like Drake, I'm like, you want it to sound like shit?
No, it's not that. It's not even that. Like it sounds good, but it's just not creative. I think it sounds good, but it's just sounds too
I think
good.
it
Like,
has his vibe, but I think it's been the same vibe for the last 15
exactly.
years.
And that's the thing too. It's like
It became repetitive.
but it's really interesting because even Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah. Like Red Hot Chili Peppers blew up, and then suddenly it's like, I don't even want to hear you guys anymore.
No, I really like Red Hot Chili Peppers. I feel like they did the same thing, but somehow did okay. Like they're still relevant, even though they made the same album about 10 times. You know.
And I think that's why I stopped listening to them. Like, it's like, I think my favorite song from them is still Zephyr Song. And then after that, like, I can't think of too many. In fact, I'd venture to say I might have a challenging time thinking of one song of their more recent records.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm kind of getting to this point in my life right now where it's like I'm trying to be indifferent in a good way. Like if you ask me about my political beliefs, 9 times out of 10, the answer is like, it's like what is your stance on this? I'll be like, I don't care.
Yeah, I tell people I don't have enough information to honestly have a warranted opinion.
I think it's silly. I think I'm pretty aggressive about it, and I will go out of my way and say I think it's silly to have a strong opinion.
Yeah.
Like I think it's silly because no matter what opinion you pick, there's going to be nuances to it. There's going to be sides that and then it just becomes a battle of who feels more empathy. It's like, so then it just becomes a way to virtue signal. It's like, I'm more empathetic than you are. Like my friends, and then you start using your friends as like, my disabled friend is the reason why I could do this. Like, yo, don't use disabled people or like your gay
I have a
friends
black
or your
friend,
black
so I can
friends
say
as a
the
way to,
N-word.
like,
It's like, nope, doesn't work like that.
Don't use.
Doesn't work like that.
Don't do that. Like that's it's just a hole that you dig into. So I think I'm like aggressively moderate. Anyway, we won't get into it. Which is kind of like an oxymoron in that sense.
Aggressive moderate. Like, how do you feel? I don't.
Yeah, I'm just autistic.
It's like, so where do you land on the political field? Autistic.
I can't empathize with anyone.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was talking to my mom the other day, and she reminded me of the signs of Asperger's that I had as a kid. She's like, we'd be yelling at you, and you'd be confused. I'd be like, yeah, that's Asperger's.
Or that's just being a kid, dude.
No. It was like, yes, but like in the example she gave me, it was like, I potentially was retarded.
Yeah, we all are, right?
A little bit.
That's the thing too. I keep telling my friends this recently. I can't quite articulate why. I think I'm like, as the father of like a Down syndrome kid, like as the father of an actual, mentally disabled kid, I really appreciate that, like, within the realm of like jokes, we're normalizing retarded again.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not appropriate in a mean setting.
No.
But like, I can't quite articulate why, but it makes me happy that that's kind of becoming okay again.
I guess in the idea of like, listen, if I were to say that we can't make a joke about you,
yeah, because it humanizes him,
Exactly. Like, it's essentially just saying like, hey,
if we can't joke
that much of a
it,
special case that like you don't even talk about it. It's like, why not? Like, he exists. He can laugh.
He's not a lower class than us.
Yeah.
In fact, he's probably going to be happier than all of us for the record. Like,
what was it you that told me the peanut butter one, the peanut butter sandwich at the restaurant?
Oh, the grilled cheese.
The grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese, Danny. Got that cheese, Danny. No, that's a Shane Gillis. That's a Shane Gillis. It's really awesome. I mean, but there's a lot of truth to that. Like, Anyway, there's also a book that I love called Flowers for Algernon, which talks about, it's a sci-fi book about a mentally handicapped man who gets brain surgery and becomes the smartest in the world. And it's actually like, there's no like proof to this, but it's a really interesting perspective in how intelligence has a negative correlation to happiness. So it's like, the smarter he got, the more alone he was. And like, it's really sad. So it's like, for me, like, Like I joke and like if someone teases me and calls me short or something like that, like first off, like I don't care, and like that's, I don't know. It's like I feel like I want to raise him to not care too. It's like, oh yeah, I'm retarded. Isn't that hilarious? There you go. So what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be happier than you for the rest of my life. Isn't that dope? Like,
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like
I don't know. I can't quite say why, and I don't like. I have a hard time hanging out with parents.
I think that would be a strong thing to raise them on, especially like I'm Mexican as fuck, and to the point where like it's just normal to me that in like Latin culture you just talk shit about each other. That's how you get along with each other, right?
Yeah.
But I can't think of a single person that was ever raised to be like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like, again, bullying. I'm like hyper against.
No.
Like if you're using the R word to be mean to someone,
Yeah.
to make them feel like an outcast, that's different. But if
But
you're
if
teasing
you're-
someone, what you're really doing is you're actually including them.
Yeah.
Because if you're a stand-up comedian and my son goes to the comedy club and they look at him and it's like they were gonna make fun of him, doing crowd play, but then they saw him and say, oh my gosh, this guy looks extra Asian, aka Down syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, oh, actually, we can't make jokes about you anymore. Like, I think that's way more offensive than to just make fun of them.
Yeah. So I've told you this before, and I tell everybody like I don't really think we can be friends unless we can talk shit to each other.
Yeah.
So you've heard me like when people are like, oh, thank you. It's like, fuck you. It's like, what? And some people get really confused. I'm like, I don't
There's
think
like
you
a healthy
understand.
amount.
Yeah.
There's like also unhealthy amounts of like.
Yeah. Where some people are like, I can't tell.
Yeah.
I can't tell. But like with me, it's always like, listen, if we can give each other the bird and smile at each other right after, we're friends.
Yeah. I think it's easier to teach someone to be resilient and to not react to things that they disagree with than it is to keep people from saying things that you would disagree with. Like, there's at no point people are going to stop recognizing the color of our skin or like the fact that he's down. Like, there's no point can we get them to not acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Like, that's so hard of an ask.
Yeah.
But I think it's much easier for me to decide that I'm not going to react. I'm not going to let other people, like it's my control, or like for him, it's like, it's not a big deal. So what? Move on. I think that's easier to teach. And I think it's also healthier too. But that's another word. Let's get into this next episode. Do you want to talk about New Year's? We need to do a New Year's episode.
Yeah, we do. And we still have more to go throughout the month.
Yeah,
As
I
far as
got
reserves?
like that was the third episode in the
queue.
In the queue.
Mm-hmm.
So you should do one more. I mean, I think like
if we do a New Year's one, then that should line up with it.
Because the next time that we could meet up, the next Monday is like the 20. The next Monday is the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do it the week before Christmas, but like kids will be out of school at that time too. So I think we should meet up next week. Actually, we should.
Okay.
Let's do. Do you want to do a goals one next week then?
Yeah.
What was the other episode we were going to talk about? Oh, purchasing gear.
Yeah.
That's what we were going to do. All right, let's do it. Ready?
Yeah.
Test. Sorry, we kind of ranted. I apologize.
I don't. CL1 Lou.
Oh, dude, I don't know why my OBS does this. I'm not seeing y'all's comments on YouTube. I have to refresh it.
I don't like Drake either, and that's okay. You guys ever try SoftTube SSL 9000K plugin? I have not tried the SoftTube one. I did try the UAD one, and I was actually impressed with the UAD one, but I don't know if SoftTube makes that one.
I've tried the Plugin Alliance one.
The Plugin Alliance
is that
one is cool.
Is that their like
Oh, that's the new
the one that like works with
controller?
their console 1 version.
But didn't they come out with a new console?
Also, SSL makes their own stuff now.
Yeah. But I do like the UAD one a lot, actually. Like, and I like switching between like the mic and line input on it. I don't know if you've tried that.
Oh,
Yeah, it's really good. Actually, at one point, I was putting the SSL 9000 plugin in mic mode with transformer on, and then turning the line input down, and then turning the mic gain up just on drum buses, and even that felt really nice.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this episode real quick.
Let's do it.
Nickname?
Oh, CL1 Lou. I saw Matt Key put that.
CL1 though. All right, we'll do it. All right. Such a stupid nickname, Matt. I'm not gonna lie, it's so stupid. I love it. All right. Let me record the screen too. Hello and welcome back to the Mixing Music Podcast. I'm your host DK, and with me, as always, is my lovely co-host CL1 Lou.
Everybody's trying to emulate me, but there's only one me.
Damn, that's hard. All right. We have a really simple episode.
Yeah.
Really simple episode. This was probably going to be real short, but knowing us and how loquacious we are.
No.
Oh. It's not going to be short, probably.
No.
But we both watched.
Yeah, I watched it yesterday during my walk.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so literally at like 10.
YouTuber Colt Caparoon is kind of going through this phase where he's being defensive right now. I don't know what's going on.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he's kind of going through this like defensive thing right now. But I think one of his defensive videos was actually pretty informative, and I think that we should pull out the nuance of it. So we're gonna like take a note from his videos. He talked about how I got my gear. Right?
Mm-hmm.
How did I get it? And in his video, he talked about his story, about how he got his gear and how he was able to, because everybody in the comments is basically just making fun of him. It's like, yeah, you trust fund baby or something like that. He was kind of like being defensive. First off, don't feed the trolls. Don't give energy to the trolls. That's don't let that.
Unless you're on Reddit, because then you'd find some pretty interesting responses on Reddit.
Troll back. Anyway, remember that there are psychopaths in this world that find enjoyment out of you emotionally react to their purposefully, badly, poor opinions.
I know you don't watch South Park, but there's actually a series of episodes where exactly that is the case, where one of the dads is the troll, but he does it behind closed doors. Like, oh yeah, honey, I'm working late, but he goes into his office to troll, and he gets off on the reactions.
Yeah, because it's almost like I can see it being like a superiority thing. Like you're watching people being unable to control their emotions and just reacting to whatever you say, and you just feel so superior to them because you're like, I'm manipulating them over words.
9 times out of 10, like anytime you like even go to the people who are writing these things, sometimes they're real people who have just their own opinion, and that's cool. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But most times it's a troll account too, like no followers, no anything, no posts. It's like, dude, don't waste your time with somebody who hides in the shadows.
Yeah. So don't do that. Don't do that. Anyway, that was unrelated. See, I told you that we're gonna make this episode longer.
So loquacious.
We're gonna do our own thing about how so loquacious. We're gonna do this episode about how lessons that we learned, like not really our story as much as a guide to how you should think about spending money, how you should think about building your business, building the assets for your business.
What's worked for us and what we hoped for.
Yeah, what's worked for us, what we wish we didn't do, things that we wish we knew earlier, and practical advice as well.
Yeah.
So, for example, this is something that we're going to start backwards here, and then we're going to start from the beginning. I'm huge on living within your means. In fact, living less than your means. Mm-hmm. I am big on you can live in LA, make only $40,000 a year, and if you live very frugally, using all your coupons, not getting and really restraining, making all of your meals, you can still save money.
Yeah.
It could be quite, and once you start doing that, like it's actually not that difficult to do so. But again, for some reason in America, we have this big consumerist culture where they believe that going to Starbucks a couple times a day and I spend like 10 cents on coffee because I make it myself, for a cup. And it's like versus $5 or $6 twice a day.
Yeah.
It's just insane. Anyway, number one, so that's my thing. So it's like, I don't think, for example, I would even say not even 9 out of 10 times, but 99 out of 100 times, the idea, the concept that poor people pay cash, rich people borrow money. Mm-hmm. That 99 times out of 100 is probably some of the worst advice ever. Now, obviously, there are situations, but America has this thing where if you don't, dude, we're just debt ridden, all of us.
Yeah.
And it's just insane. So one of the things that we will never, ever recommend, ever, especially in our industry, is to go into debt for gear.
Yeah.
That is the first thing that we're going to talk about. Like, it is never acceptable. Do not ever rationalize it. I condemn you to do it. This is not an industry where you buy the gear and the clients will come. That is not it. People learned about that going into debt for Atmos, and they got an Atmos rig, and then all of a sudden it's like, where's the clients? It's not one of those things.
Yeah.
People, the best time to get Atmos is if you have an overwhelming amount of clients that want Atmos, and you're able to justify it by making money from it.
Yeah.
So it's not one of those things.
Or you have an overwhelming amount of wealth, and you literally have nothing better to do.
Yes. I mean, we're not going to... We've talked about how... Wait, hold on. Wait a second. Hold on.
Yeah, I'll explain it.
I'm gonna
I'll explain it.
But before you explain that, I was going to say the only exception to this, we've talked about how like getting a CL1B and a 1073 with a Sony AC800G in a commercial studio can help, but still, it's not worth getting into debt for.
No.
It's not. Your wages and your clientele is not going to increase so much that was worth buying with debt.
Yeah.
Oh, explain yourself. Well, hold
Okay.
on. Yeah, go back.
So if you're trying to justify the reason, it's like, oh, Atmos is a thing. We should build a studio that has an Atmos room. Okay, do we have the clientele for it right now? No. Okay, do you have a clientele list that is going to be needing it if you could offer it? Yes. Okay, cool. If you can financially afford to take that risk and actually jump in and build your own studio for it, and you're not betting on the clients are immediately going to come, but you can sit on it for 6 months while you develop the clientele because you don't currently have that network, then fine. But the best option usually in those cases is while you're building it out, you better go start finding those clients while it's being built immediately. Go to Atmos Studios and start assisting, making connections with some of the managers and everything, and try taking some of the overloads to your studio. But at that point, that's only if you really have that level of abundance. Outside of that, if you don't have that level of abundance, you shouldn't even consider it unless you have the work already. You shouldn't build a commercial studio unless you already have people who are willing to book from you.
Did you mention tax breaks?
Tax breaks, I didn't think we were going to get to this soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about that, we should. Because that's the thing, like, because you're talking about make the money first and then buy gear.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's really practical
is because you don't go into debt.
Yeah, well, yeah, also, not just the debt thing, the practical part of not going to debt, but also depending on how you categorize. Again, we are not financial advisors. I have to preface that this is not financial advice. You should talk to your accountants. You should talk to anybody that helps with, what are they called?
A CPA?
CPA. You should talk to your CPA. You should figure out how you categorize. First off, you should register as a business in your state, unless you live in California, then register it in your aunt's state, your uncle's state, or your parents' state if they live out of state. Anywhere else other than California. And talk to your CPA, but most of the time, gear is a normal and regular business necessity. Can count under normal and regular business operating necessities, and can be considered a tax break. So you can actually, and the reason why in America, the reason why that's so important is because if you make profit, you will get taxed on that profit. So the less profit that you show at the end of the year, the less you're going to get taxed.
Yeah.
So it's either going to go, basically, in other words, it's either going to go to an LA2A or to Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
And I think we all agree that going to an LA2A is better.
Is better. Yeah.
So that is really, really super practical. Again, not financial advice. Double
Talk to a
checking everybody.
CPA. If anything, if you tell them your estimated earnings even before the end of the tax year, they can usually give you some advice as how to structure and how much to put aside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is really, really important. Sorry, I'm just looking at the Twitch comments right now, which nobody else is going to see. That laugh won't make any sense to anybody.
It'll make sense to me.
Yeah, it makes sense to us. You know, I also choose LA2A. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that's super practical. I don't think. I mean, it's that simple. I think that's like the thesis and the point of the entire thing, is that when I don't know about you, I spent now in retrospect, if with the knowledge that I have now, I would be extremely anxious and uncomfortable with the amount of money, the percentage of my income that I was spending on gear as a younger kid.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would never do that now as a 30-year-old.
I think the only reason I can justify it for myself is because I did a lot of flipping. Like, I actually paid my rent flipping gear.
Yeah, see,
so that was the only reason that I could justify it. Outside of that, the amount of gear I bought and sold, If it was strictly out of hobby and not for like actual being able to pay my rent doing it, not worth it. Except for I like the way Colin has used his own case as an example, where he's like, if I hadn't bought all the gear I didn't like, I wouldn't know why I didn't like it. You know, I understand that, but buying the gear just to buy gear because you think you're going to find more clients, it's never the case.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time with that.
Also, I one of the things that I did, and I think more people should do, and we haven't talked about this in a while, but this is a quote from Brian Hood when he was doing Six Figure Home Studio with Chris Graham. They said, "A trip to IKEA will bring you more clients than a trip to Sweetwater."
It's absolutely
or
true.
Or just trip to Guitar Center, they said.
It's absolutely true.
So focusing on the aesthetics. If you can get, whether it's at home, an office and home, or whether you are renting out a proper office, which is debatable in its own sense as well. The aesthetics, looking like you know what you're doing, will help you gain more trust than than anything else. Like, the gear is a very small way of making it look like you know what you're doing, but if you have the lighting right, if you have acoustic panels, if you got nice like carpets and rugs or whatever it is, nice, I don't know about wallpaper, but like if you look really clean, if you clean up your desk, if you clean up your room, if you decorate and give it a vibe, that's going to get you more clients than having an LA2A. That's just how it goes. Better ROI significantly.
Yeah, and that's kind of like when you see a lot of people like building their studios, they never make a request of like, I just need a few panels. You know, they usually like, I want the neon lights. I want to have like my desk over here, and I want it to have like these stands for my speakers. It's a lot of like aesthetic choices because they want to feel a certain vibe in the room.
Or like another one that's very specific. I like to record completely butt-ass naked, so we need to have curtains.
God, yes, that happened to me, and it was amazingly hilarious and confusing at the same time. I did not know what to do.
There you go. By the way, that client was me.
And there was no curtains. And the lights were on.
Just shaking my ass at Lou.
And
as
the
I want
mic wasn't even in the booth. Yeah, if you ever seen Psyche K with the guy that can see ghosts? Yeah, he's like, oh, there's a ghost over here. He's just drinking water. There's a ghost over here shaking his butt in your face. And there's a ghost over here. Hold on. What is the guy next to my face? That's what it was like.
Yeah, dude. There's a... Anyway.
There was some wiggle room, we'll just say.
Sorry. Tangent. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Healthy ways of... Shut the...
It was a real raw recording.
Stop. Okay. We're going to continue to talk about how you should be considering spending your money.
Part of it like comes down to the idea of like, you know, everybody earns their money in a different way. Everybody can pay for different things at a certain I guess price point in payments or in cash, things like that. There's a bunch of different like I guess options out there, including like one of my favorite options is Zounds. We're not sponsored by them, but I've used them definitely a lot. For instance, sometimes you need a piece of gear for a project. That makes sense. And if the project is worth a certain amount of money to you, then it could actually make sense buying it. A good example is we had like a big name artist come in with like a live band. We had to track the live recordings for concerts that they were planning. And the production company was willing to pay me enough to where it actually made sense. They're like, well, we need a bass amp to rent. I'm like, okay. I went and bought a bass amp and I rented it to them. And the nice thing is I was able to return the bass amp. So sometimes, yeah, there's going to be expenses where you might have to incur something. Maybe you go to a rental company, rent it. In my case, it was actually pretty easy to actually like return it, which is nice.
I did that for NAMM a couple of years ago. I rented like a handheld recorder. I used it for the weekend and I returned it.
Yeah. You know, so like
handheld recorder.
I'm not saying like the cheat code is buy and return.
Yeah, that's actually, you can get
into a lot of trouble with that. You can get banned from a company for that.
Yeah,
Best Buy is pretty famous for doing that. But point is this, like I understand that sometimes you need the gear, which, funny enough, in the referenced example, Colt, he did make the communication that a lot of times the money invested was for, what can help me make more money. But it was more practical things like, okay, I'm going to start running shows. I'm going to do front of house. Oh, I need a couple more 57s for guitars. Cool. But it wasn't, I need a line array system for guitars. It wasn't like exponential things that would have like put you into extreme debt. And he even says, I would not recommend it. And it was because of the help that I got. A similar way to get a similar sense of help is Zounds. They have, I think it's like 3 months, no credit check payment thing, kind of like Sweetwater. But what's not openly communicated is as long as you do the first 2 purchases and make all the payments on time and you keep it like that, they will actually make it 12 months, no credit check, instant approval.
They have like in-house credit scores.
Exactly. Like if you start faulting on your payment, they won't give you that option back. They'll have you wait the next couple purchases.
Again, that's not something that we recommend at all.
Yeah, but
if you can't pay, it says in the words of, who was it? Was it 50 Cent? No. Who was it? I don't remember. But there's a rapper.
If you can't buy it 10 times over.
No. If you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. If you can't buy 2,
I know
you can't
Akon said if he can't buy it 10 times.
Yeah.
But then again, their number of wealth is pretty impressive either way. But the way I look at it is like if you had $600 right now and you could afford to pay for it, but let's say it would take 2 more months worth of waiting, but the project is now and you have an opportunity to make $900 from the project. Maybe taking on $100 a month for 8 months isn't the worst option because you can at least pay down a chunk of it and just go down to 20,
What
30
if that?
bucks,
What
whatever.
if that session gets canceled last week? What if that project gets
No,
canceled last
I
week?
get it.
That happens all
I
the
totally
time.
get it, yeah.
Literally happens all the time. You buy a
Yeah.
house, you think you're gonna rent it out. Turns out the first guy that you rented to is a squatter, and now you're just fucked. You get a car to put it on
Damn,
Turo. You get a car, put
yeah.
it on Turo. The person, it's insured, but the third driver crashes the car, and all of a
Yep.
sudden you can't make income, and you have to keep making the car payments.
Yep.
It's not
Wait.
worth it. It's
Somebody's
worth
not
it.
getting gap insurance
No, well, I mean, it expires after a certain point. I don't exactly know, but the point is,
because
The
third
point is-
driver on Toro, that's pretty early.
the point is,
Yeah.
is that nothing is 100%. Nothing is for
Yeah.
certain, and
You got to make sure that you're good.
if you cannot afford to make the payments,
Yeah.
if someone squats or someone's unable to pay rent, then you should not go into debt to buy that condo, house,
Yeah.
apartment, or whatever it is. Like
Yeah,
that's
don't
just
go into
that,
the studio
that is.
without the client.
So I mean, this is something that Dave Ramsey talks about a lot as well. Like people don't assume that everybody's going to pay rent every month.
Yeah.
Like, don't. And he's like, anybody that has experience with real estate knows not to consider that. Like, be aware that you have to have savings just in case shit hits the fan, or you have to be able to afford being able to pay it yourself if you need to.
Yeah.
Anyway, things of that nature. Okay. Let's go back to the topic of how you do this. Another thing as well is that I don't think you should be ashamed for having a day job.
Nope.
I think the pros to having a day job is that there's less financial stress. You can continue to build your clientele with the people that you want to work with. You're
And
not
have
forced.
fun with it.
You can keep it fun, easier to keep it fun, rather than forcing yourself to work with clients you don't like.
Yeah.
Again, the stress, I think the lack of stress. And I think there's something to be said if you do a job that you don't necessarily love, it forces you to want to do what you actually like, which is actually a
Yeah.
really great motivator. So I think there's also not many people, but there's a few people out there that are like really prideful, or they're like really undisciplined, and they just don't want to. They say under the guise of I'm unable to, they say I'm unable to, but really they just don't want to work for somebody else.
So
for a
some
time
of the
just to
people
make
that I
enough
enjoy working with the most actually work regular day jobs.
Yeah.
And like
It's nothing
music
to
is not their side thing. It's still their goal, their priority, their this and that. Their side job is just a means to an end. But the one thing they've always communicated is like, you still have to like it,
Yeah.
make it music adjacent if you have to.
Yeah. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
So,
Like, you know how
I
many
do-
people like Guitar Center, Westlake, Vintage King, PSA?
those are good jobs too.
Yeah, like they all still work in music, and a lot of them, like some of them are like platinum, gold record. Some of them are Grammy nominated, Grammy winning. I remember my supervisor at Sam Ash when I first started working there when I was like 21. He was Grammy winning like twice over, and he was like, "Oh, I mainly work here because like it's easy money. It's on the side. It helps me pay my bills, but I also get discounts on all the gear, so it's easier to buy gear."
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, that's a lot of benefits.
I think you should prioritize happiness and balance more than
Yeah.
forcing music to be your income.
Yeah.
I don't think that I don't think it's necessarily like mutually exclusive, like you're either happy, but I also don't think that it's like it goes together all the time too. Like I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of people that find that they finally are able to make a reliable income from music, but they're fucking miserable. And
Yeah.
I think it's how you get there, the expectations that you set, etc. So there's a lot of nuance to that. We won't go into it. So I like working with people. Like as it's really interesting. The older that I get, and do I even want to say this? I kind of don't want to say this. People won't really talk about this, but this is something that I've noticed. As I start to make more money,
Mm-hmm.
it's not as fun hanging out with people that always talk about money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meaning, and you know who always talks about money? The people that don't have it.
Yes.
It's not like you'll notice if you ever talk to someone rich and you start talking to them about money, they don't really like talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not because there's shame. It's because everybody that gets it knows that it's not about money.
Yeah.
Like, not everything is about money, but until you have money, you don't realize that.
Yeah.
So if you grew up in a wealthy family, you know that it's not about money.
Yeah.
And then if you grew up in a poor family, like, you really believe that it's like it's all about money. And it's like until you break the cycle and you finally make some money, it's really hard to realize that. It's kind of like trying to prepare someone to be a parent.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way you can like give all the advice, but it's like every child is different, every situation is different. It's like there's no way to prepare you. Or like training for a marathon. No matter what you do, the first marathon is gonna fucking suck. Just no matter how much you train for that shit, it's just gonna suck. You know, like whatever. Anyway, sorry, that was unrelated. That is something that is kind of like unspoken that I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody at the top is talking about how they're greedy, how they're making money, or it's like how it's.
I think the people that are asking the most questions are usually aspiring to get to that point, but they haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
They're just unaware of it yet.
So what is the lesson that we're trying to take out of that? Like realize, I think the most important thing is like realize that in this moment right now, especially when you're young in your like teens or your 20s and stuff, like it seems like it's going to feel like forever. Like you're just committed to poverty for the rest of your life. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be.
Like think about, we've brought this up before, but I see it all the time. We see people all the time that assume that success also means that you have a ton of gear and you have a really nice studio. And how do people afford that? You know, some people go into debt. Some people work with people who just have an abundance of gear and that just ends up at their studio. Some people have an abundance of money, but not actual practicality or clientele, and they just go out and buying it, assuming that it's going to pan out and all that kind of stuff. Seeing a bunch of money and seeing a bunch of gear doesn't always mean success all the time. We know a lot of trust fund babies who just have gear, and that's fine. We know people who have worked really hard and bought gear, and that's fine, but they still don't even know what they're doing with it. I think a lot of times when you see people like, you know, for instance, like we can look at this desk here and say, okay, well, where did DK get it? Did he get sponsored or and all that? Is it the podcast? Is like, no, I'd say only one piece of gear could only ever be considered that. You know what I mean? You could look at my entire studio and I think maybe some headphones could be considered that. Everything is just hard work. And people who work really hard know that it's like, dude, it's a lot to get this. So yes, I have it and yeah, it's cool and it's shiny, but it actually is a lot more than just a cool and shiny piece. That was hours of my time. That was hours of work, trust that we had to build and everything. That's what paid for it. It wasn't the money that paid for it. It's the hard work that paid for it. It was the relationships I built that paid for it.
All right, James Clear.
Fuck you.
Yeah, dude. It's about the habits, dude. It's about changing your personal identity.
Yeah, so that's what I was hearing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good point.
I have my moments.
These, you have a lot of moments. No?
Yeah, they're not many, but you know.
No, I literally just said you had a lot.
That was one of those.
No, I think you're right. Like for me, this is in a really weird way. Like you should consider gear to not to be. I think you should look at gear as trophies that you get from having a great financially successful year.
That's how I look at my
to
office.
to use as tax breaks.
That's why I like the aesthetic part where they're like, oh yeah, you can make more money from aesthetics. You could also feel a lot more pride in aesthetics. You know, when you walk into a badass room and you're just like, fuck yeah, that's mine. You look at your wife and you're like, fuck yeah, she's mine.
Yeah.
Also, it's pride, and that's why it's like, you ever hear, so I'm gonna associate it to this, but it's because I feel like it ties in just a weird way. You ever hear about like guys that are like, oh yeah, I sleep with a different girl every week?
I don't hang out with anybody like that. I'm
okay,
sorry.
well,
I personally don't know anybody that.
I hear it all the time from like people that I like know and stuff, just because I guess I hang out with a lot of dogs. They got the dog in them. Woof. But
I'm not judging you for it.
No.
That made it sound really judgmental.
No. But nonetheless, the idea behind it is this: like, I always hear about that, and then I hear the complaint, but none of them are like solid, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you got to invest in relationships, and you got to invest in the right types of relationships and everything. So whenever I look at my wife, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm proud that I'm married and shit. I'm proud I don't have to deal with all this other extracurricular shit, because that means I invested properly.
That's right.
So when you look at your studio and you don't feel that way, maybe you're just buying gear and you're like, why doesn't it pan out? How come I have all this gear and it's not panning out? Now I'm in debt. Now I'm this. It's like you invested in the wrong thing. It wasn't investing in gear that got you the gear.
Yeah. I want to briefly change topics real quick to talk about ways of earning money that I think is like healthy and can get you to different things. Like you talked about doing sales like Guitar Center, Sweetwater, some sort of like music retail. The reason why that's great is, especially as a beginner, you to sell the items, they train you. Like if you work at Guitar Center, there's a whole training thing where you watch videos to learn about
the gear,
all the different types of the gear. So it's a really great for learning what the gear does. I think that was really great for the learning aspect at the beginning of my career, because I used to do Guitar Center before I went full time as well. There's also like someone in the comments on YouTube is saying like, would you guys recommend music students to work for other engineers or studios as a runner or assistant? I think that's actually really great as well. Potentially, I mean, every path is different, but I think that's like, I think it's okay. There are music-based jobs to help you get to where you are. So I think having a music-based job can be, actually, I think it's a really great introduction, because then it forces you to think about whether or not you actually want to do this.
Yeah.
Especially if you can get in early and you find out, holy cow, working at a studio is hectic, too crazy for me, I don't like it. That's better to find out early.
Yeah, to be honest, we've had people who have interned for us who, after like running their first session, they're like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
I thought I did, but I don't.
Yeah. So I think in general, like if you're a student or younger, or you don't want to do school or something like that, having a stable day job is very normal. I think being able to keep up with your bills. I think building the self-discipline to be able to stay out of debt, building the self-discipline to not spend outrageous amounts of money, to be able to focus on what's important. That self-discipline is going to help you build your career more than anything that you could buy. By like more than 10 to 100 fold.
Yeah. Like
there's not a single person that I know of that is successful as in the music industry. Like I'm generalizing it because I'm being dead serious right now. Like I can't think of maybe one or two people that like, I can't think of anybody that's like really successful in the music industry that doesn't have an insane amount of self-control.
Yeah. Honestly, in anything. Let's just be honest, in anything.
And sometimes it comes from like a really unhealthy place where they're like, their parents beat them, so they're like really insecure, and like that's why they're always like
fail.
That's why they're like too hard on themselves. But like, regardless of where it comes from, sorry, that was really dark. I apologize. Regardless of where it comes from, I think that self-discipline of being able to hold down a job, being able to communicate clearly, being able to reply to people, being able to.
It's all in the personality.
I think that's super important.
One of the general managers, it's funny, I tie back to Sam Ash again, but one of the general managers at Sam Ash, Dan DeHate, he told me something once that like
Dan DeHate,
dude,
dare to hate
dare to hate Dan DeHate. No, but he was honestly like probably one of the best managers I've ever worked with to this day. Like
what made him a good manager?
Well, this quote will be a fun one. He's like, I can train you on any piece of technology. It doesn't really matter what it is and what question I ever ask you, but I can't train you on your personality. I only hire people that I actually believe in their personality. I could give a shit if you don't know anything. I can teach you.
Yeah, that's true.
Your personality is what makes you succeed. It's not the gear or how much you know about the gear. It's not how many manuals you read. It's how many people you actually effectively help along the way.
And if that's true for a low tier retail floor salesman job, then how much more true is it when you are your own fucking company?
Yeah,
you
imagine you're the
brand.
one that has to be accountable for yourself. It's easy to say, well, I don't care. Who am I going to yell at? Myself? It's like, listen, when I first started recording, I showed up in every session with fresh press shirts, fresh everything, cologne and all that kind of stuff, because I wanted to set the right example. I wanted to shake the right hands and make sure that everybody was on the same page as each other in the idea that I'm taking this seriously. When I became a sales manager, and I had to actually train the new guys coming in and actually make sure that sales were actually hitting their marks. And so, I actually made less money if they didn't hit their mark. So I was already bothered if they didn't hit their mark, you know?
That's one way to put pressure on.
Yeah, but I always had an issue with those that didn't have the personality. And it wasn't that the issue is that, oh, they're too young or this and that. It's like, no, this personality is easily adopted into your life in an early stage of life, especially like in your teen years and this and that. But when you're a growing adult, let's say you're 21, you still have a chance to mold your personality. By the time you hit 30, it's significantly harder to break molds.
Yeah.
It's harder to lose weight, you know, but the idea here is that if you're just starting and you're wondering how soon can I get it, forget about how soon on a financial level, worry about how soon on a relationship level. If you build the right relationships, you would be surprised how fast you can go from 15 an hour to 50 an hour. It could literally be your next job. But the only way you get to that job is building trust and, you know, honestly nourishing the relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you buy gear. You don't buy it with credit. You don't buy it with the cash that was supposed to go to rent. And you don't buy it because you think it's going to make you more money immediately if somebody sees you with it. Because I hate to fucking tell you, if you're in LA, everybody has it, including their grandmother.
Yeah, and as far as like the order of which gear to buy, I think people want to know what's the most important thing. Yeah, we're monitor snobs, but I would say in general you should expand on your abilities rather than to get a better version of the thing you already have. For example, if you don't already have acoustic treatment, you should probably get acoustic treatment. If you don't have headphones, you should probably get headphones. If you don't have a sturdy mic stand, you should probably get a sturdy mic stand.
Especially if you're planning on buying a heavy mic.
Yeah, you should probably buy things for their function and the practicality of it. For example, like having a fucking nice Verimue compressor is awesome, but I would never recommend that. Like, that's not something that I would recommend before acoustic treatment, before nice monitors.
If you don't understand compression, but you understand you really want this compressor, there's a backwards order in that.
What? There's a backwards order in that?
Yeah, so if you don't understand how compression works, but you really want a TubeSec CL1B, it's like, why do you want it? You don't even know how to use it.
Yeah, so as far as like practical advice on order of gear, just try to expand like the offerings that you do have. Like if you have clients that want to come in, like again, it might be a lamp, it might be like lamps, it might be a curtain.
Yeah.
You know, it might be a nicer mic stand.
And you'd be surprised how many people are in the box. I'm just saying.
Yeah. The number one mixer in the world, Serban Ghenea, is notoriously
completely in the box.
Completely in the box.
What's his name? Mike Tucci. Very popular mastering engineer right now. He's getting in the hip hop realm. Completely in the box. In fact, anytime I see photos of his space, I always get inspired to downsize.
Yeah.
Because it's just a couple of acoustic panels on gobos, one like behind the monitors, like a cloud, and it looks like it's like maybe an extra area in his space or something like that, but he's still extremely effective. And if nothing else, it's a great sign of proof that no, you do not need the Verimue or Fairchild or whatever you think you need to be successful. It's not that. He's successful because of his relationships.
Yeah. And he's good at what he does. His
more than anything that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then anyway, so I don't know. I don't think there's much more to go on this topic on this episode.
Yeah.
We could keep ranting about it, but to be clear, like it's just super important not to go into debt for anything. It's super important to we're not telling you to save money necessarily. But I think gear is not the goal you should have. Having a rack full of compressors and EQs, hardware compressors and EQs, is not what's going to make you happy.
Nope.
Having balance in your life and being able to pay rent without worrying is going to make you happy.
Yeah.
And that is not necessarily correlated. Having gear in your racks and being able to pay rent and live stress-free. That is not necessarily correlated. So that's something that's really important. People don't talk about it. Again, this podcast is entirely directed. The purpose of this podcast is to help give people practical advice and talk about the nuances for people that want to make money and make a living off of being an engineer, not just engineering. So this is something that if you are a hobbyist and a purebred hobbyist, like you know in your heart that you don't want to necessarily make money off of this, then the conversation entirely changes. I think that is, it's okay to put money into your hobbies as long as you don't go into debt for it.
Yeah.
Do things because you want. And I think that through hard work, through self-discipline, through responsibility, you will be able to earn the things that you want, which kind of goes back to one of the previous episodes where we talked about keeping things interesting, gamifying everything, being curious, and working with constraints. Like part of the reason why hardware is fun is because it's slower and it's a big constraint, And anyway, I think we're just like riffing now. There's not much meat left in this topic.
Is there potatoes?
Yeah, sure. We're just on string beans right now.
Oh no, it's just a plate full of gravy.
It's just MSG. All right. Anyway, we appreciate y'all coming in, hanging out with us. If you like this podcast, then the freest way to help us, the freest way to help us grow and to share this message with everybody is by rating the podcast 5 stars on your preferred platform. Whether that's
5 stars is more better for us.
It's the freest way and it's more better for us. So on that note, and if you want more episodes that are specifically about the technical aspects of mixing, how to use a compressor, how to use widening tools, etc., go to mixingmusicpodcast.com/exclusive for exclusive content where we do 20-minute bite-sized episodes about the nuance of technical tips that we pull from other engineers. Really great, really awesome. James does a good job with that stuff. And on that note, happy mixing, my friends, and stay saucy.
What would constitute freer?
More free.
More free. Like it's so free they threw it at you. Like the U2 album on everybody's iPhone. Also, that was the freest album you could ever ask for if you were an iPhone user.
It was so free. It was pushed down our throats. I don't know. I mean, it's more free than Costco samples because you got to pay for a Costco membership to get the Costco samples.
So the Costco samples is really just them teasing you with like what you might want to pay for.
Yeah.
Again.
It's the freest way.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did Elon say? He's like, well, free speech isn't free. It costs a little bit. I had some friends over and yesterday, so the reason why this is top of mind is it was like the first time we hung out, and they're like, oh, like just to see if it's like, oh, where you stand on like our jokes and things going forward. I think it was like a light question. They're like, are you more left leaning or are you more right leaning? And then they why did I bring that up? Oh, I did it. I said I don't really know. I think I'm like really moderate. And they're like, and then one of the questions like, well, I can figure out for you. And I'm like, okay, ask me questions to figure out which way I lean. I'm like, are you a fan of Elon Musk? Apparently that's really polarizing to like an entrepreneur or not. I think that's really weird. It's interesting.
I don't know what that would constitute though.
So apparently it's pretty conservative to like Elon Musk.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how.
I thought it would have been more.
I guess it's like pro-capitalism, but that's really weird because he's like the good capitalism.
Yeah.
Like all of his copyrights are also very open source. Like he keeps it open source, and like he really believes that he doesn't deserve any clients if he doesn't make a better product. So he's like always focusing on making a superior product.
Yeah, that's
he doesn't like lock people out from like he doesn't push down competition like Verizon or like
Apple.
Oh yeah, he doesn't keep people. Yeah, so it's really interesting. I didn't know that. Very polarizing.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised.
I didn't know that. Can you talk about your Gullfoss starting point preset? And Lou, can you expand on how you found the Saturn trick?
I fucked around and found out.
Saturn trick, is that the one where you use it as a transient designer? Is that the Saturn
yeah,
trick?
so I was even showing Matt the other day where I was like, hey, I think the vocal might need like a little more low mid. And he's like, oh yeah, that's usually the range I need help on. I'm like, yeah, just pull up Saturn and similar to the Saturn trick, instead of shaping it to where it's tighter by going to the left, you can make the saturation just a little more broad. So you don't have to push it as hard. It just will fill the spectrum a little more. It saturates a little more broadly versus more transient wise. But the Saturn trick was really, I wanted to saturate. A few Saturn
tricks, so
yeah.
Which one is it?
I was messing around with reverb, and the reverb felt like it was just constantly blurring with saturation. So once I started pulling it back, I noticed it started almost like noise gating a bit. And so once I started doing that, I was like, wait, how much of the reverb can I unsaturate, realistically speaking? And when I did that, oddly enough, that's when I actually found, I'm like, oh shit, this almost kind of works like a deverb, because it will only really push through saturation because it's on 100% wet, and it's only saturating because of the transient at the leftmost setting. So yeah, it was a happy accident that like just kind of, it was a moment that clicked in my head. I'm like, at 100% wet, it's only outputting saturation, and if only transients are saturating through the plugin in this setting, then reverb, which has no transient, would never actually push through it. So
I need to use Saturn more. That's probably one of my least used plugins.
It's like my most used plugin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Gullfoss. It's a fine starting point. This is it. I mean, I don't believe in copying settings, but this is a good thing. I can kind of I don't let it use the low end or the super top end, because it can be too much de-essing and it can sound unnatural.
Yeah.
And the low end, I don't really, it kind of like, I mean, it's a dynamic EQ, like it's a moving EQ. It's not a static EQ. So it can kind of mess with the transients a little bit with the low end sometimes.
Your settings are just a little bit different from mine. I usually roll off 200, and
I always mess with this. I always mess with the boost.
Yeah.
I always mess with.
It does.
I mess with the tame and the recover. So it's like this is just a starting point. I always leave it. I almost never move these lines though. If I do move it, I'm moving it up so I can like hone in specifically this section here or whatever.
I usually use it for like 500, because there's usually something around like 640 or 720 that I'm picking up on a lot of people's recordings. It's like a, not hunky, but like a, I don't know, it sounds a little bit holly. That's the only way I can really describe it in a way that sounds stupidly right.
Do you use Ruby from
Acoustica? Oh, Ruby 2 Acoustica. Which one is that one?
Is that the DW Fern one?
Sounds like it would be.
Yeah, I do not. Yeah. I do not use
I don't.
I don't use the Ruby.
I'd be curious to hear a side by side, which apparently there it is, the VT5.
Because I like the El Rey so much, I might give it a try, you know, but
yeah.
Again, I'm at a point right now where I'm very happy with the plugins that I use. And I only buy plugins to get like
something new.
To bring in that level of curiosity again, to try testing different things out.
Yeah, I was talking to my friend Skimmy the other day, and it was interesting because he's like, hey, are you looking at any plugins for Black Friday? I'm like, no, are you? And he's like, I haven't found one. I'm like, huh. And I spent the next 3 days like thinking, like, is there a single plugin that I actually need that I can get a discount on? Yeah. Couldn't think of a single one. And then the one plugin I did need was Superplate from Soundtoys. Apparently it's the one plugin I didn't have in my bundle, and even then it just
came out.
Yeah. Apparently it's only a $50 upgrade if you already have the bundle. So I'm like, okay, done.
I have so
that's the only thing I needed. And the only reason I needed it is because I was mixing a record that already had it on it.
Yeah, so that's where most of my plugin purchases come, is when I get sessions and it has plugins that I don't have, and then I buy all their plugins.
Yeah, I usually ask the client, like, hey, how necessary is it for me to use this one plugin? Is this like a plugin you threw on, or is this did you have a specific sound that you got from this that you like? If they tell me, oh no, I just threw it on, I'm like, cool, I'm not gonna bother with it. I'll just reference the reference.
I'm always looking for an excuse for new plugins, so I won't even ask. I'll just
I'm
assume.
looking for an excuse to pay my rent.
Yeah, assuming that the budget is enough, and
Yeah,
you know, most times,
$50 usually pans out.
Yeah, most times, like yeah, it's a good ratio, like how much I'm making from the session versus how much. Anyway, I'm kind of getting a little bit tired, if you can tell. So maybe we'll sign off. We'll kind of edit something and release an episode for anybody that's on the stream right now. The episode that's coming out tomorrow, I might do the hobbies one. I might talk about Desire. We need to do a technical one next week too. We really need to do a technical one. Although the hybrid, we've done a couple technical ones now.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Preamp design comparison. Why is it that API, Neve, SSL, and things of that nature are always revered as their own thing? Is there really a design difference, or does it just come down to their intended design was?
We need to really. I personally would need to really do my homework to do that. Because I'll be totally honest. Like, I'm a pure mixer. Like, I only spent a few years recording, and it wasn't in like a commercial studio. So
yeah. You'd be surprised to look into Paul Wolf, the designer behind API. He's also revered as like one of the best mic preamp designers, and even then, there's people who just don't like API. So it's like, well, Rupert Neve was held in that design, but Rupert Neve was actually a military engineer. That's how he got into it. He was an electrical engineer for the military.
Yeah. Thanks to the war.
Yeah, thanks to war, we have Neve.
As far as Golden Age goes, the LA2A clone, the Comp 2A is my favorite. I love it. I think it sounds super good, especially for the price point. I think it sounds better than some other compressors that are, quite frankly, 10 times the price.
Yeah, for me, it's got to be the double wide. The double wide is still under
that question was, which Golden Age compressor is your favorite? So specific to Golden Age.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm curious to do a video
Did
where
you sell your double wides?
I did. A long time ago, like 2 years ago.
You think you're gonna buy them again, or buy one again?
I want to buy the STA level, I'm like really debating if I should buy it like in the first quarter next year. Like, I don't want to buy it right now. I don't like buying things in slow season, but like, especially because it's one of those pieces that I just want. It's not a need, so it's like, I'll wait. But the double wide was supposed to be a baby version of the STA level, and when I heard Bob's, I heard it, and I was like,
actually, because of Bob, I want to get the locomotive.
The locomotive, dude, it's so good. But yeah,
I'm a fan of like very Muth type stuff. Anything for vocals. Like, if I'm gonna get a compressor, it's for drums or vocals.
But the locomotive will give you more flexibility in its use.
Yeah,
but the STA level just has this like sound that I'm like, oh, God damn it, Bob, you shouldn't have bought this and shown it to me.
Yeah, there's a. Ooh, I don't mean to flex here. I'm not having a slow season.
Good.
Oh wow, this is like the first time. Well, no, in Utah I didn't notice a slow season either.
But it was also
just slow all year round.
Yeah. No, this year, I did get offered a few projects, but I turned them away because I've just been busy with like the current one that I'm on, and I'm like, last time I took on mixing gigs at the same time that I took on a design gig, it just schedule wise, it didn't really help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
year, I guess you could say I did
it
to myself.
This year I lucked out. I don't know what happened.
Good relationship building. Maybe that's what happened.
Well, definitely
maybe this year's worth of building.
I had a really good year this year, and I think it's just me and like the problems and troubles that I have. But like every time I have a very peaceful time in my life, like I got some like, I'm working through some like PTSD where like if things are good, I start to get really anxious because it means like usually that means something's gonna happen. So like my body, like
you're feeling the jitters.
No, I mean, like, what is that? Like, the body counts the score. Like, it's something that I can't control. Like, I'm trying to get over that with my. Have you ever ran vocals through the Golden Age and post for client? Yeah, that's what I mostly use it for. I don't use it. I don't record.
Yeah, like for me, most of my hardware is like post recording use. Yeah. The only time I ever like really use the gear pre-record or pre-mix is like if I'm intently using it for a specific end result out of the vocal. Like if I'm recording a rapper, typically a distressor. I usually never go with the tube tech. If I'm dealing with like a pop vocal, like the tube tech. But if somebody just sends me a vocal, I'll run it through it if it's doing something that I think would help the vocal.
What we should do is we should make it a special episode and say you can download the files and listen for yourself.
Yeah.
And we should, instead of talking about the builds, we should run a mix.
I mean, we
through
can do that.
all of the preamps on like an pretty extreme setting, and we can listen for the different characteristics. Maybe upload like a file pass link for it, and then because you have API, you can run it through. You have
the GTQ2, which is actually built by the lead tech for Neve.
We can do the Audient one as well. We could do the red one. What is the red one?
True Systems.
True Systems.
I loved. Honestly, it's so
underrated. We can
underrated.
do it through just through the.
Run it through
interface,
the Questeds.
Yeah, interface. What?
The giant NS10.
And then also like running it through the Comp 2A or like different compressors without no gain reduction, just driving the tubes.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. That might be a fun episode.
It's something that something I've been like wanting to get back in the studio to try, and now that Kylan sent me another song to mix, maybe I'll try it on his. I forgot that the Fairchild, the input drives the tube before threshold. And for the longest, I've just been playing with the threshold because I guess I always just wanted clean anyways. Like, I'm not trying to go oversaturated. But now I'm like, I haven't done that in a while. Like, I forgot that was a thing. Like, you just stop doing something for so long that you forget it's even a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I kind of want to fuck around now.
I'm not going to lie to you. I bought the Fairchild UAD Fairchild bundle again, but it doesn't include the Legacy, which I already have.
Oh, I was about to say, huh?
Which I already have it, but the new stuff doesn't have the Legacy. Yeah, I bought it for like $40 on UAD. Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. I like the Legacy version more. The sound of the Legacy. Something about the magic. There's magic in the mid-range in that plugin for some reason. The
only thing I hate, I'm sure it has to do with my computer, and I'm sure I'm the only one that gets this issue. Anytime I recall a session, my left channel gets reset somehow to something, and then the right channel is the same settings I had left it on. So I always have to look at the Legacy instance that I have on and reset the settings back to what they were supposed to be. And I don't know why. I don't know what causes it. Maybe it's my graphics card going out, or I don't know. Like, I don't know enough about what would cause that.
Yeah.
But I just know that anytime I do use the Legacy, I'm like, I'm just going to take a quick screenshot of these settings just in case, because it happens every mix.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah, you got to re-download it or something.
I've re-downloaded it 10 times.
Holy cow.
Every update.
Dang. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That sucks. I hate it when it does that. Yeah, my plugins, for some reason, if I'd like try to save a setting, it doesn't automatically navigate to that folder. Like, I have to go and find the folder, and that doesn't even work half the time.
God damn.
So like every time I can't save presets on my plugins right now.
That's
very
weird.
Easily. Yeah, super. I'm trying looking it up. I can't figure out why. So if anybody knows a solution for that, like every time it says like save, like watch this. If I say save
I have
preset,
that same bug. You do?
I do. It's like save setting as, it immediately goes to here. It doesn't go to the plugin folder. Do you have that same bug?
No.
So it's like I have to go and find the plugin. So in this case, it's like L2 limiter. I usually do this. Like I have to like type it. And I have to like click on find the one with the other presets. And then I hit save.
By the way, did you know that I don't know why this only clicked
wait,
for
Matt,
me
you have
yesterday.
that same bug?
Yeah, which bug? The DK bug or the Lou bug? Which is a funny way to like look at it. Did you know that Plugin Alliance was bought out by Native Instruments?
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, interesting. I want to see how it goes.
I think his name is Dave, the owner. Is he still involved?
Yeah, the original owner, he owns BX too, so I think it's
Well,
literally
that's
just
true.
I think it's just the
He
marketplace.
just bought the marketplace of Plugin Alliance.
I'm not exactly sure. I haven't looked into it.
No.
But I do think it's interesting. I hope that they add Arturia plugins. Is Native Instruments Arturia? No.
No, it's complete.
Okay. I hope they add complete plugins to Plugin Alliance. I mean, it's just free plugins for us.
Well, they already started doing that.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, which is why I'm like, huh?
Which
Because I
ones?
saw Plugin Alliance
And
buy
they better
Native
grandfather
Instruments,
me. They better grandfather me, dude.
right?
Well, they got the bus compressor.
Oh. I don't know if I want to say anything. Did you download the latest update?
Of this?
Yeah.
No. Why?
I kind of held this info back because I didn't know if it was gonna go through or not. But I'm literally gonna go to the office just to download it, just to see if it went through. Bryson extended an opportunity to potentially be on the plugin preset list, and so he asked me to create some presets.
For the bus compressor?
Yeah.
Nice.
For
Did
Brainworks,
you do
because
it?
I've been wanting to work with Brainworks directly.
Did you do it?
I created the presets. One
Is
of
it on
them's
there?
even I don't know. The plugin just came out yesterday.
Do you want to look?
I'm scared to look. I'm nervous. Because, like, part of me is, like, I will be a little bit heartbroken, but not, like, okay, it's just not my time yet heartbroken. You know what I mean? Not like, oh, man. But he texted me saying, let me see. If I type in the word next update, it might pull up. Yeah, my phone is needing replacement. Got word they'll be added in the next update. Happy Thanksgiving, my brother. Thankful for our friendship. Aw.
So as in it's not in this update.
Well, that was on 11/23. That was last month.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let's find out.
Yeah.
That'd be super dope.
Yeah. So I created like 3 just in hopes. I'm like, I'm not going to create like an arsenal of 12 right now. But if they do feature it, like that was one of my like coming up. You look at like plugin presets and you see everybody's names on there and you're like, who are these people? I want to look these people up. And you kind of just get inspired by like looking up people's settings. I've always wanted to be featured on a plugin list.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. The Fairchild bug, every time I option drag the LR on link. Yeah, see, for me, it's not the option dragging of the LR linking issue. It's if I were to close the session and then reopen the session later, the session for some reason will now have that instance having all the signal loud on the left or something of that nature.
We're finding out. Hold on. I'm just activating the plugin. Activating. Jun, 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 jun. Oh, not on this update, at least.
Preset, top one. No, all the way at the top. Yeah. No. All right, I'm not on it. That's okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Dave would be on there. You're on there with Dave.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Like, the way I'm telling myself is like, don't get overly excited for it. Because if you're not there, it's just not your turn yet. But Better Maker did extend an offer to sponsor me and to give me, like, artist pricing moving forward now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you think about, what did you borrow from them?
The mastering limiter.
Did you like it? What did you think?
I think it's a very cool coloration box, and that it could serve a purpose, but I didn't personally love the limiting of it. I like the clipper. The clipper was cool, and it was
What did the limiter sound like?
tight as hell. it's really tight. So like for certain things it worked out. Like I did use it on the Cedric the Entertainer album, and I did use it on like 3 of the records, and that's where like I really got to know it, because I was like, okay. And to be fair, I was comparing it to the Invisible Limiter and the L2. The two that I used the most.
I've kind of slowed down on. I was using the L2 a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've like kind of slowed down on it.
You went back to Invisible?
I went back to Oxford.
Really? I still use the Oxford here and there, but I use it more as a tone box, just like I would the Bettermaker. Reason I call the Bettermaker a tone box is because the limiter is really tight. That is true, but the calibration on it just wasn't fully there for me.
Low end or something?
No, well, yeah, it did, but it didn't like eat it in a way where it was gone. It just made it really, really tight instead of like big. You're not
describing
and loose.
this in a way that sounds negative at all.
Consider it this way: if you have 808s, in the case of like Bob Horn mixing, it would take his 808s away, in a way that
of it?
the love of it, the bigness, it would make it really tight and like limited. You know, it wouldn't feel like boomy or anything like the Invisible Limiter does.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like transient response in the lows get really tightened and sucked in, which means you can probably get it louder, but you wouldn't be able to push into it very much.
Yeah.
The other side of it too is this: with most limiters that I've worked with out of the box, you calibrate like the input and you calibrate the output to match, right?
Yeah.
On the Bettermaker, you calibrate the meters to match, which means that it tells you to calibrate its meters to your DAW meters.
Yeah.
But if we're metering everything in dBFS, I'd rather meter in dBu. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's sorry, Matt was saying. Matt Key is saying Limitless or Newfangled Elevate or True Peak. Is True Peak's the Brainworks one? Is that?
I think that's the Brainworks one.
The True Peak one is slower. I like that one.
Yeah.
I use that from time to time.
I know Bob
I've never
uses
even
that
heard
one a lot.
of Newfangled.
Newfangled Audio is actually really good. I like their, I think it's called the Equivocate or Equivocate. Go to products.
Elevate?
No, Equivocate.
The EQ?
Yeah, that one is really fascinating to me. Supposedly, if I remember right, it's supposed to be like, these are the frequencies we typically find most pleasing, and so you can cut and boost as you like, and you can also change the bandwidth and the placement of the band, but it's already preset to like what they supposedly have tested to be the most pleasant frequencies to work with.
I'm like looking at it right now. This is interesting. I'll check out this Newfangled one a bit. I've tried Limitless. Limitless is really cool. Limitless is super dope. It's really cool. I did the demo. I didn't buy it though. I wonder why I didn't buy it. I don't recall.
Knowing you.
So knowing me, it probably didn't make that much of a difference.
Yeah. Like when it comes to limiters, like I don't want to hear it personally.
But
like,
of those 3 options, I'd probably go with True Peak or Limitless. Just because I don't know Newfangled Elevate.
Yeah. Put it this way, like as a mastering engineer, if I use the limiter that you could hear, you probably wouldn't like that very much, would you?
Also, that's true. And then, well,
like
to a certain degree.
Yeah, so like the Bettermaker for me just didn't work on that level, but what it did have was saturation, and you can choose the order of harmonics both for top end and bottom end, and you can blend the percentage and how it is. You can drive more and lower the percentage, or have light and increase the percentage. So like it was really useful in a sense where I'd use it on tracks or maybe like buses, but I probably wouldn't use it on my master bus. Yeah,
and to answer your question, Matt, if I had to pick those 3, just only knowing the 2, I'd probably go Limitless as like my first limiter and finish it off with True Peak, because I don't think Limitless has a True Peak option. I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember there being intersample distortion when using Limitless. Maybe I think that's why I stopped using it, because I knew I couldn't use it as a final.
How did you find it? You heard it was audible enough, or what?
No, yeah, I think it was like audible enough. At the time, I was also using the Apple scripts to figure out, like, you know how Bob Horn told us about, that script that you can type in the terminal, and it tells you how many samples are being clipped through intersample distortion. And we did
I must have not been present for this one.
Okay, never mind. We did some tests in Limitless created a bunch of intersample distortion on too many samples, and then we played it back on different listening devices.
I'm
and there
curious to
wasn't
learn
distortion.
about that though.
Yeah, that may have been changed. It's really easy to fix with like 4 to 8 times oversampling or just turning on the True Peak mode, which is basically just oversampling. We talk about that in an exclusive episode, what True Peak really is. So I'd probably do that as like a flavor type limiter into the True Peak, which
Can you run
would
an audio file through it to test sampling in the file or the intersample distortion in the file.
Yeah, you do it through terminal. Like you can do it. There's Apple terminal. Hold on. So it's like literally, it feels like I'm hacking into the mainframe. But like, what is going on? Bash? Hold on. But yeah, there's a way that you can actually it can, and you just like drag and drop the file into terminal after you type in a specific code. I forgot what the code is. I need to look it up again. But that'll and it'll tell you how many samples are clipped from intersample distortion.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's how I know I'm a nerd. Where I think that being able to find intersample distortion through terminal is cool.
Yeah, that is nerdy.
That's
nerdy. We were talking about what nerdy was earlier, so
Yeah.
that's like something.
So is the not nerd part of me Pokemon? Is that
I
the
think-
cool part of me?
I think right now, if you love anime, and love Pokemon or love video games, I don't think that qualifies as a nerd anymore.
I think that's
Or a
just a
geek anymore.
grown child.
Yeah, I think that's more like childish than nerdy, and it's not even a bad childish too.
Yeah.
It's more like it's
That
you're,
child just got adult
you
money.
appreciate it. Yeah. It's like it's like you're able to. There's like a little bit of naivety that comes with it. I think is really beautiful, actually. Yeah, but I don't think it's nerdy.
Yeah.
Yeah, nerdy is sitting there wondering how you got the SQL to work in this back end of this. It's like, how did you get the database to be formatted like this and to automate the information behind and categorize everything using Python? Now that is fucking nerdy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is not childish.
Anna sent me a reel recently that said my boyfriend talking about all the things that he loves. Me sitting there pretending like I understood a single fucking thing he said. It's just her smiling like. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I can't do that, dude. If someone
Yeah.
starts talking about something that I don't get, I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck you said. Can you explain that to me like I'm an idiot? Because I am.
I'm sorry, but right now I am the idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't be dishonest. I have a hard time being dishonest. Anyway, let's get off the stream. Is that cool? Thanks
Let's do
everybody
it.
for hanging out. Yusufina, Matt Keed. Is it the Townhouse comp?
I don't know what. I
don't
know what the
remember.
Townhouse comp is, but I don't.
What were we talking about before that triggered that response? Sorry. Can you tell that Lou and I are good friends and we could talk forever if we wanted to? All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, have a great week. It's Monday. Have a great week. All right. Enjoy your life or enjoy this week. No,
Or enjoy your day.
Enjoy your life. That sounds scary. All right.
Why is it so scary to enjoy your life? I can't fathom joy.
It's too long term. It's like it's got to enjoy your day. Sounds like okay, yeah, enjoy your day. That's practical. It's like enjoy your life makes it sound like you're saying goodbye.
Jeez. I mean, you are, but not that deep.
Gosh.
Okay, guys, we will let you go.
Enjoy your hour, your next hour. So I think it's like
Enjoy
it's
your
better-
hour.
Yeah. We got to keep these terms short. The shorter they are,
Enjoy.
enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
Enjoy your moment.
Be
If you
present.
make it too long, it's like enjoy your lifetime. It's like really,
how much
feels
time
odd.
is that?
Yeah. Enjoy your life. It's like I'm never gonna see.
Enjoy that bowl of Chipotle. What, is it my last?
Enjoy this minute.
Because you won't like the next.
Yeah. So you gotta have a middle amount then, like kind of short but not too short.
It's like
It's like you're torturing someone. Just enjoy this minute.
allow yourself to be present now and here and now. It's like,
Yeah.
what about tomorrow and later?
Yeah. You also can't use like any like proper nouns. Like
Hmm.
enjoy Chuck E. Cheese.
Enjoy the stream.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Enjoy Ronald McDonald.
Enjoy Wendy.
I hope you enjoy Anna.
Yeah, I will. I do. I have.
I will, I do, I have.
I conquered.
Alright, yeah, dude. It's still noon and we're getting it's still noon and we're just this mentally out of it. Alright, peace.
Later.
Bye.
Here we go. So they're finally here, performing for you. If you know the words, you can join in too. Put your hands together if you wanna clap as we take you through this monkey rap. He's the leader of the bunch. You know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. His coconut gun can fire in spurts. If he shoots ya, it's gonna hurt. He's bigger, faster, and stronger too. He's the first member of the DK crew. DK, Donkey Kong. DK, Donkey Kong is here. His horns got style, so listen up, dude. She can shrink in size to suit her mood. She's quick and nimble when she needs to be. She can go through the air and climb up trees. If you choose her, you'll not choose wrong. With a skip and a hop, she's one cool Kong. Donkey Kong. He has no style, he has no grace. This Kong has a funny face. He can handstand when he needs to and stretch his arms out just for you. Inflate himself just like a balloon. This crazy Kong just digs his tune. Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong is here. He's back again and about time too. And this time he's in the mood. He can fly real high with his jetpack on, with his pistols out. He's one tough Kong. He'll make you smile when he plays his tune. But gremlins beware, 'cause he's after you. Donkey Kong. Finally, he's here for you. It's the last member of the DK crew. This Kong's so strong. shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. So they're finally here, performing for you. If you know the words, you can join in too. Put your hands together if you wanna clap as we take you through this monkey rap. Donkey Kong. He's the leader of the bunch. You know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. His coconut gun can fire in spurts. If he shoots ya, it's gonna hurt. He's bigger, faster, and stronger too. He's the first member of the DK crew. DK. Donkey Kong. DK. Donkey Kong is here. He's Kong's got style, so listen up, dude. She can shrink in size to suit her mood. She's quick and nimble when she needs to be. She can go through the air and climb up trees. If you choose her, you'll not choose wrong. With a skip and a hop, she's one cool Kong. Donkey Kong. He has no style, he has no grace. This Kong has a funny face. He can handstand when he needs to and stretch his arms out just for you. Inflate himself just like a balloon. This crazy Kong just digs his tune. DK. Donkey Kong. DK. Donkey Kong is here. He's back again and about time too. And this time he's in the mood. He can fly real high with his jetpack on, with his pistols out. He's one tough Kong. He'll make you smile when he plays his tune. But gremlins beware, 'cause he's after you. Donkey Kong. Finally, he's here for you. It's the last member of the DK crew. This Kong so strong, it isn't funny. Can make a gremlin cry out for mommy. Can pick up a boulder with relative ease. Makes crushing rocks seem such a breeze. He may move slow, he can't jump high, but this Kong's one hell of a guy. Come on, Cranky, take it to the fridge. Walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. So they're finally here, performing for you. If you know the words, you can join in too. Put your hands together if you wanna clap as we take you through this monkey rap. DK. Donkey Kong. He's the leader of the bunch. You know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. His coconut gun can fire in spurts. If he shoots ya, it's gonna hurt. He's bigger, faster, and stronger too. He's the first member of the DK crew. DK. Donkey Kong. DK. Donkey Kong is here. He's Kong's got style, so listen up, dude. She can shrink in size to suit her mood. She's quick and nimble when she needs to be. She can go through the air and climb up trees. If you choose her, you'll not choose wrong. With a skip and a hop, she's one cool Kong. DK. the mood. He can fly real high with his jetpack on, with his pistols out. He's one tough call. He'll make you smile when he places two. But gremlins beware, 'cause he's after you. Donkey Kong. Finally, he's here for you. It's the last member of the DK crew. This Kong so strong, it isn't funny. Can make a gremlin cry out for mommy. Can pick up a boulder with relative ease. Makes crushing rocks seem such a breeze. He may move slow, he can't jump high, but this Kong's one hell of a guy. Come on, Cranky, take it to the fridge. Walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. So they're finally here, performing for you. If you know the words, you can join in too. Put your hands together if you wanna clap as we take you through this monkey rap. Donkey Kong. He's the leader of the bunch. You know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. His coconut gun can fire in spurts. If he shoots ya, it's gonna hurt. He's bigger, faster, and stronger too. He's the first member of the DK crew. DK. Donkey Kong. DK. Donkey Kong is here. He's Kong's got style, so listen up, dude. She can shrink in size to suit her mood. She's quick and nimble when she needs to be. She can go through the air and climb up trees. If you choose her, you'll not choose wrong. With a skip and a hop, she's one cool Kong. DK. Donkey Kong. He has no style, he has no grace. This Kong has a funny face. He can handstand when he needs to, and stretch his arms out just for you. Inflate himself just like a balloon. This crazy Kong just digs his tune. DK. Donkey Kong. DK. Donkey Kong is here. He's back again and about time too. And this time, he's in the mood. He can fly real high with his jetpack on, with his pistols out. He's one tough Kong. He'll make you smile when he places two. But gremlins beware, 'cause he's after you. Donkey Kong. Finally, he's here for you. It's the last member of the DK crew. This Kong so strong, it isn't funny. Can make a gremlin cry out for mommy. Can pick up a boulder with relative ease. Makes crushing rocks seem such a breeze. He may move slow, he can't jump high, but this Kong's one hell of a guy. Come on, Cranky, take it to the fridge. Walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, leader.